what Frank is wearing. He's got a
Very crabby mood today.
Yes, a red button-down shirt. Yes, with crabs on them.
What?
Very cool.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
Are
you
they
see that?
crab? Oh my gosh, they are crabs.
So whenever we get the video stream working, everybody across America will be able to see what Frank is wearing today. But I would say everybody here, Skraby's in good spirits. I mean, holiday
agree.
time, and
I'm
wrapping
ready.
up the year.
Yeah, I'm ready for some time off. I'm going up and seeing my sister and bringing Lucky with me to the mountains. So
Nice.
Lucky's gonna love that. But we do have to finish out today, and we are going to talk about the Padres. They have offered a contract to someone. We'll get your thoughts, Sam, in just a second. We have Marcus McNeil, who's going to join us during the show to talk about the NFL. We have a little bit of the Daily Gambit. And then at 3:40, we're going to do top news of 2023. So hopefully Sam remembers some of these things, because these were the ones that I went through and saw and thought they were big enough to bring up, and a couple really stupid ones as well.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Then we got the Big Five coming up at 4:40. We also have, before last week ended, Gwen and Chris and myself recorded a countdown on things that basically I didn't want to say New Year's resolutions was our countdown, but in the end, that was the easiest way to describe it, was New Year's resolution. So we're going to play that for you at 5:40. Let's get into the Padres stuff, because Sam, you were at the winter meetings. We talked to you last then, and so lots has happened in that time since you came back from Nashville. Let's just start here. Where do you think the Padres are in regards to building this team? Do you think that let me rephrase that. Are you getting a little bit nervous that names are coming off the board and not necessarily going towards the Padres? What are your thoughts in the last couple of weeks?
It's a great question. Nervous, I don't know if that's the right word, because look, I think we all understand that this offseason is going a little bit differently than what we've seen in the past, at least to this point, because I do want to put that as the disclaimer that it is December 19th. There is a long way until spring training, early mid-February, and a lot can happen between now and then. But here's the reality. The reality is that the Padres have not made a major league signing. They have traded away Juan Soto and Trent Grisham, and as of this moment, they need a left fielder. They need a center fielder. Yep. They need a DH. Mm-hmm. They need more starting pitching, and they probably need more relief help as well. So there's a lot to do. Hypothetically, and this is something that we talked about here on this program when I was talking to you guys from Nashville, hopefully, I would hope the idea is that you would take the money that was saved from trading Soto, from trading Grisham, along with the other money you have to spend this offseason, even if you wanted to stay at or around that $200 million number, and that is put towards getting what they need. Now, of course, there was some reporting over the weekend from Dennis Lin that maybe that payroll number is even a little bit below what we expected than that 200 number, and how the CBT number may play into all of this, and the CBT tax, and wanting to come.
We talked about it yesterday. It's very complicated.
Yeah, well, look, it's this, unfortunately, when you talk about payroll and CBT number and spreadsheets, it's not as fun as talking about, hey, we just signed a guy who's going to hit 280 and 40 home runs. Okay, it's not as fun. The fun stuff is...
I actually think the contract stuff is kind of fun, because it's all part of the game.
It can be.
It's a game within the game, and that's what I've come to appreciate over the years working on 97.3 The Fan, and like being as close to baseball as I have been, is that there is as much importance on the offseason, if not more on the offseason for baseball than a lot of other sports, because you just can't pick up guys here and there that are going to change your baseball team. You got to do that in the offseason. But we've talked, and yesterday we were saying, and Tony kind of alluded to it, but he thinks that they're going about it the right way by building with guys that are going to contribute,
back end of the rotation spots, or center field, left field. You may have some young guys competing for spots a little bit earlier than anticipated. I think all those things are on the table right now, but let's see how things transpire in the next couple of months. But yes, there are a lot of question marks right now. I don't think this team, and I know this, I've been rambling here.
No, you're good.
I'm letting you get your
And
camera
I'm listening.
together.
I'm listening.
I would say this. I don't think this team is super far away from being a postseason team in 2024, roster-wise. I don't. I do think there are a lot of needs and a lot of question marks, and it is all about how they fill those needs. And that will tell a lot of the story, and I think that story is not complete yet based on this offseason on December 19th.
Yeah, definitely. It's December 19th, as you said, and I need to chill out a little bit, but a lot of the big names have been signed, and now the Padres have offered someone a contract, and it's Yuki Matsui. He is from Japan. He plays in the what is it? The
NPB.
NPB. That's what I thought it was NPL for a second. But anyway, he's 28 years old. He's got over 200 career saves in Japan. He pitched to a 1.57 ERA and 72 strikeouts in 57 and a third innings last year. Baseball America says he projects to be a low to mid leverage reliever, handles both lefties and righties. And talking before the show, not just because he has over 200 career saves doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to be the Padres closer.
No, look, from what I've read and what I've seen from Matsui, it seems to me like he could be a high leverage reliever. I don't know that he, profiles as a closer, just based on what I've seen regarding the stuff, 91 to 94 miles an hour with the fastball. Apparently he's got, good off speed stuff. He's got an interesting, arm angle, all that stuff. And obviously as a left-hander, it seems like he could very well be a high leverage reliever. Whether he would be, a closer, I think is a totally different question. The good news for the Padres, if they do end up signing Matsui, is that, look, they need relievers. They need high leverage arms. And look, you could argue the best course of action for this bullpen is that Robert Suarez is slated to be your closer. And I think, look, when they signed him to the deal last offseason and made him a Padre for a number of years, it certainly seems like the plan, based on the number, based on the money, was that the long-term plan for Robert Suarez in all likelihood would be to be this team's closer once Josh Hader left. And I don't think that's a bad plan. Robert Suarez will have to prove himself in that role, something he's never done here in Major League Baseball. Does he have the stuff to do it? I think so. I think we've all seen that. I think we've all seen Robert Suarez be an extremely capable high leverage arm in big situations. My goodness, how good he was in the 2022 postseason. But look, whether Matsui ends up being your eighth inning guy or your seventh inning guy or your closer, he seems to be a very talented arm from Japan, and one that should excite you. And look, I think like any free agent signing from overseas, look, it comes with expectations, and then we see how they perform and how the game translates to Major League Baseball from what they've done over in Japan. So, look, they need arms. I'm all for it. Talented arm, no doubt about that. Seems like if they can get him a good signing, no matter what bullpen role he ultimately takes.
Absolutely. They also acquired someone when they traded Scott Barlow to the Guardians, who for it's less of a hit on the CBT, but the Guardians took on Scott Barlow. So he's not necessarily a closer, but he's definitely going to be in that relieving core.
Yeah. And look, I will say this, Enyel De Los Santos, the pitcher the Padres got back from Cleveland, very talented arm.
You just rattling that off like it was nothing.
Well, and he used to be in the Padres system.
Oh, there you go.
In fact, I may have called some Enyel De Los Santos games when he was in San Antonio back in the day. I think maybe I did. Anyway, San Antonio Missions, that is. I forgot what I was saying. What was
you were talking about?
Oh, right.
Yes, the pitcher.
De Los Santos. Look, Suarez, De Los Santos, if you sign Matsui, Tom Cosgrove, there are certainly other names as well. You've got Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, could be bullpen arms, depending on how this all pans out over the course of the next couple of months. You need arms and you need bullpen help right now. I think that is one of the areas of need for the Padres. So We'll see, how it all pans out over the next couple of weeks. But I would have no problem whatsoever with Yuki Matsui getting signed here in San Diego and being somebody they can hopefully count on. No problem at all. I think it would be a nice move for AJ Preller.
Yeah, and I think AJ has proven that he can find these guys and they can be productive. Look at Hassan Kim. That's just the first one that comes to mind, and he's done it before. He's very familiar with that part of the world and their baseball and everything that goes along with it. So hopefully he can pluck some diamonds in the rough and them come over here and contribute. So.
Well, look, and I think Matsui's had a ton of success.
Yeah, he's
Japan,
already kind
right?
of proven.
And I'm sure the Padres are not the only team that's interested and that are pursuing him. So
it's probably the Giants too. They seem like everything the Padres want, the Giants want as well.
Look, I will say we were talking about the payroll, and I know we're kind of just rattling off Padres stuff here, but it's been a while since I've been on the station here in the studio.
Keep going, Sam.
I will say this, when we talk about payroll and what that number ultimately will be, what I was encouraged by the pursuit of Lee, the outfielder from Korea, because it said to me the Padres are willing to spend some money here. Right now, they
not what the Giants.
Well,
spend,
no, and I think
is a weird contract.
Well, and I think industry wide, and we've heard a lot of people talk about it, that's a much higher number than anybody really anticipated he would get. We'll see how it all pans out, and how I've said pans out like 5 times here.
That's the first time I've heard it.
We'll see how it all plays out and what kind of player Lee is, and if he's worth that kind of contract. But the fact that the Padres were so in on him, I thought was a really good sign.
Me
regardless.
Too. Yeah.
The Seth Lugo situation was interesting, considering the reporting that the Padres offered him a 4-year deal, which would have lowered the AAV, but they were in on him. I didn't have Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo going to Kansas City.
What about Nick Martinez going to Cincinnati?
Well, that one makes sense. It does. Since Cincinnati's a team on the rise, they need pitching, but I did not have Wacha and Lugo going to Kansas City. Both of them.
Yeah. So Kansas City's just taking in all the Padres people, and they're like, let's make Padres Midwest over here.
You know what they say about Kansas City?
What do they say?
It's the San Diego of the Midwest.
They do not say that, do they?
No.
I was gonna say I've driven through Kansas City, but I've never actually been there, so I have no idea. All right, that's Sam Levitt. I'm Matt Skraby. We have a full 4 hours for you. Again, like I said, we're gonna have some top news of 2023 later in the show. We're gonna hear from Marcus McNeil. We're gonna do the Big Five. We're just gonna have a good old fun time. Frank Marchese along with us. I'll get the cameras under control.
I got to remember I'm on camera at all times. I'm not used to
You don't
this.
actually need to wave, but you can if you want. That's actually very nice of you. I should just be quiet. And I should also just go to break here on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Mossy Nissan. Unwrap Mossy Nissan's lowest advertised prices of the year during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event. Get incredible lease deals and low APRs on new Nissans. But hurry, these offers won't be back in stock. Visit mossynissan.com or a Mossy Nissan near you. It's Sammy and Skraby with Frank Marchese. As Tony said,
I like the way that rhymes.
Sammy and Skraby and Marchese. There is a lot of rhyming in
Sammy,
that.
Skraby, and Marchese.
Tony would say he's on the ones and twos right now. So thank you for that, Frank. He's actually was the savior of the cameras in the last segment because the reason the cameras went down, and by the way, you can watch us right now on YouTube. If you just go and type in 97.3 The Fan, look for our live stream, also on X and Facebook. But the cameras went down, or my camera went down because I didn't bring my charger and the laptop died in the middle of the segment. So Frank ran back and got it, and I really appreciate that because I know how angry it made Brock. Brock made a joke. You know who Brock is? Brock calls in all the time. He's probably called into your post-game show here and there. But Brock said, let's do a daily gambit, which is our sports betting segment, on when there will be no audio issues during a stream.
Wow.
So Brock, I don't know. I was going to say something different, but do not be making fun of my audio issues. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to get angry. Do I sound like I'm really angry over here, guys?
No.
Yes, I definitely do.
I don't think I've actually ever seen you angry. Legitimately angry. This is a great question for Frank Marchese. Frank, have you ever seen me legitimately angry?
Yes.
Legitimately.
Yes, actually.
Really?
There's been a couple of times.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't seen me because I have meltdowns almost every day. I mean, not legitimate angry meltdowns, but I have some moments of pressure that get to me.
Yeah, I've seen you frantic. I haven't seen you like mad.
Yeah, I don't necessarily get mad anymore because it doesn't really help me to figure out, things. But anyway, I don't think I've actually seen you, Sam, now that I think about it, super angry.
I don't get real angry.
I have never seen Chris actually angry before, which is strange because he's angry at me every single day.
Maybe that should be your new goal in 2024.
Is to get him more angry? Stay tuned at 5:40 because I have a little bit of a resolution about.
Okay, there you go,
Chris, and our countdown.
Good old-fashioned radio tease.
Yes.
Are we doing a daily gambit today?
We are going to talk about different things. We're not going to make any bets because we won't review them till January 2nd, but we will talk about some of that. Right here, though, we haven't been able to, Sam, you haven't really talked about the Shohei Ohtani contract, the deferred money. And Frank has an addition once we get into this about what Tyler Glasnow said. So we'll get to that in a second. But the Dodgers are obviously stacking up their chips. They're loaded. I necessarily don't think this means World Series for them because they definitely don't have a good rotation right now. And Shohei Ohtani is just one guy, and he's not going to pitch next year. So I know what the Dodgers are doing, but it doesn't scare me as much as it may have in the past.
A lot to chew on.
Yes.
Well, what was that?
You said let's have fun today. That was a dog.
I have a good dog bark too, actually. Well, I'm not going to do it on here.
You can't just say that and then not do it.
No. Anyway, we're moving on. What was I going to say? Okay, Shohei Ohtani. What do I think about Shohei? Look, he's a terrific player, one of the best players to ever live, right? I think that's safe to say at this point. It's a massive deal. Obviously, there was the initial shock of the $700 million number. But we learned later it's kind of different than that, especially with all the deferred money and the way it's going to count against the CBT. And look, I know there's been a lot of mixed feelings on that idea of what the Dodgers did and how they've maneuvered with the CBT and the whole contract. And look, to their credit, it is mighty creative and it will help them in putting a better team around Shohei Ohtani. With all that said, Skraby, to your point, they have still a lot to do. If I'm, running the LA Dodgers, I mean, they still need a lot of pitching.
They need a lot of pitching.
Tyler Glasnow, when healthy, is a Cy Young caliber pitcher, but that's the key word, is healthy. And he has not been fully healthy, most seasons, and has spent a lot of time on the IL. And look, that number of 5 years, 130 plus million for a guy that has really struggled to stay on the field, that's scary. But again, if you can keep him healthy, he is a front of the line starter, no doubt about it. They have a lot of work to do in their rotation. You could argue up and down their lineup, there's work to do. But with all that said, a trio at the top of your lineup of Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani for next season and beyond. Yeah, I mean it's
pretty good.
It's scary. Look, the Dodgers have built a reputation here where, look, you have to believe they're going to continue buying and continue putting this roster together, and the Dodgers are going to be really, really, really good. Okay, that there's no way around it. But yeah, they have a lot of work to do, and the Ohtani deal was certainly interesting. I always thought that was the team that made the most sense. There was all that traction to the Blue Jays, and then the tracking of the flight and all of it
ended up being what's his name, Robert Herjavec from Shark
I mean,
Tank.
look, to me, the Dodgers always made so much sense for Ohtani, and we'll see over the course of the next decade how he plays and the impact he has, and once he can pitch again, what that looks like, and how long he'll do both, and if he can continue to do both at such a high level for years and years to come. We're going to see, but there's no doubt having Shohei Ohtani, even just as a hitter, it makes the LA Dodgers that much better. So
yeah, I'm not going to cry about the CBT thing, but I would like, because that was part of the rules and everybody agreed to it. Everybody knew they could do it. And Tony and I were talking about this yesterday, because I get a lot of messages about, well, why didn't Padres players do this so they could sign more other players? Number one, we don't know what the negotiations were like. Maybe the Padres did offer it and the players said that they didn't want it, or something. We just don't know what happened in those meetings, and it's not necessarily a selfish thing for a player to not want to defer money.
I think it's not the first time in baseball history that the concept of deferred money has happened. It happens all the time. The Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla, okay?
But they're only paying him like $1 million a year.
Yes.
They're paying Shohei Ohtani like $68 million a year for like 12 years.
Correct. But
10 years.
But you also have to have a unique enough player to have the mindset to be willing to take that amount of deferred money.
It's easy for him.
Right. And
it's easy.
Yes, it's absolutely easy. And look, I do think he deserves some credit for doing that and saying, I don't really care how much you give me right now. Go use that money for other stuff and I'll take it later.
If he was a guy
it takes both parties to have that mindset. And look, the Dodgers got lucky that they found a player that was willing to do it, and it happens to be the player of a caliber of Ohtani.
I mean, when are we going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani as one of the richest athletes on earth? Because he just signed a $700 million deal. He's going to get a ton of marketing deals as well. He's a worldwide superstar. Shohei Ohtani is like bigger than life right now. It's pretty insane to see where he was and where he is now.
Yeah, we'll see.
The Padres were in on him back in the day, at least as far as I know, trying to get him over here before the Angels.
Yeah.
But
we will see. I don't want to talk any more Dodgers. I don't want
no. I was moving. What did you say? You don't want
them to get mad at me.
Oh, no one's going to get mad at you. We're talking about the overall picture of baseball right now. But Frank had, we'll go back to the Dodgers for a second. Frank had an addition as to what Tyler Glasnow said about the trade to the Dodgers.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Dodgers anymore.
But we're going back to the Dodgers. Yes.
So apparently Tyler Glasnow had an interview. He said one of the comments, somebody asked him about playing with Ohtani. He said, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I've watched the Dodgers from afar for so long. And even like last year, the team was so good. And then I think when Shohei signed, it was like that immediate, like, yeah, I mean, I want to be on that team. Like, I just want to pick his brain, obviously. And just like know what he's learned. There's too many likes in this. So it's just summary, I want to be on the field with a guy like that. And I'm just extremely excited. He also made a comment basically that, yeah, Ohtani going to the Dodgers really made me want to go there. You got traded there.
Yeah, I
You
don't think.
didn't have a choice in that.
Yeah, I don't think that Ohtani was calling up the Rays front office and was like, "Hey, we need Glasnow." And you know what? If someone gives me 5 years and $130 million
Yeah.
to move coast and to not know if I'm going to be injured that time, I'm happy too coming to that team.
When he's only pitched over 100 innings once in his career.
Yeah.
That just so happened to be last year.
Look, it's a perfect situation for him because
Yes,
because he got a brand new contract, they got a ton of money. He's from the LA area, so he's going home,
Yeah.
and he gets to play on a team that should contend for World Series titles, right? So, and I'm not, Padres fans don't get mad at me, but reality is reality, and the Dodgers are a good
but
team,
I don't
right?
think I don't think you're saying anything wrong.
No,
but at
no.
the same time,
I'm very sensitive about people getting mad at me today.
Yeah, I am too sometimes.
But yes, we all understand what the reality is, and look, it's a great situation for him. He gets a trade in the process. He got $130+ million.
LA now.
He's from that area.
I
believe he grew up a Dodger fan. I think I heard that. So
that's
it's a great deal for him. And
it is.
I believe. I'm not as cynical as Frank. I believe him in that. You want to play with Ohtani.
I'm with Frank.
It's not the fact that I'm cynical about him not wanting to play with Ohtani. It's you were traded there. It's not like you signed there as a free agent. You were sent
but we don't know what happened behind closed doors.
But he did have to sign the extension in order for the trade to happen.
I understand that, but you were already there. You were already going to be there.
I understand what you're saying.
Frank out on Tyler Glasnow. Didn't realize there was such a hatred for him.
There's no hatred towards Glasnow. It's a stupid thing to say.
Okay.
You got traded.
There's no hatred, but that's stupid.
It's like me getting traded to Seattle, and I'm like, yeah, I wanted to play for Seattle No, I got traded there. I didn't sign there as a free agent.
Yeah, next time I get drafted to like Major League Baseball and be
exactly.
And I'm drafted, next year I think I'm going to enter. I'm not even going to go where I was going to go. It's just going to be too silly. So
by the time these 3.5 hours we have to go are over, speaking of athletic achievements, maybe I'll tell you about my softball team from this fall.
Okay, well that is what we're going to be talking about.
Maybe they're listening. Maybe some of my teammates are listening right now because I would say I had quite the season.
Wow. Now this is an absolute necessity that we have to talk about this great play, this Hall of Fame type softball play from Sam Levitt. But
I think I was kind of the fire of the team, like an emotional leader.
All right. I just found a spot for it. 320. We're talking about Sam's fire and emotional leadership. But when we get back on 97.3 The Fan, Sammy and Skraby with Frank, we are going to talk to former left tackle of the San Diego Chargers, Marcus McNeil, and it finally happened. He will talk about what he thinks about the Chargers firing Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco, plus a little bit of Eagles talk, Patrick Mahomes talk, all that good stuff. When we get back. Jets. Oh yeah, Sam has a really good question planned for the Jets.
I asked Marcus about the disaster of the New York Jets.
Just like a Jet fan would say. All right, more next on 97.3 The Fan. Sammy Skraby, Frank Marchese here on the final show of Gwynn and Chris in 2023. I'm Matt Skraby. We talked to Marcus McNeil a little bit earlier, and we talked to him about the NFL and what's going on with some of those stories, including Brandon Staley being fired. So let's get to Marcus. And before the year closes out, we had to check in with our guy, NFL expert, former left tackle for the San Diego Chargers, Marcus McNeil, joins Sammy and Skraby today on 97.3 The Fan. Marcus, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Scrapes. It's almost Christmas, man. I'm in the spirit right now.
Yeah, did you get your gift shopping done? Are you this is maybe something I don't know about you. Are you a shopping guy, or does someone else take care of that for you?
No, you know what? I mean, it's so easy to shop now online. I'm a big Amazon and order offline type guy. And then if you go in the mall, I don't know if y'all pay attention. They never run out of stuff in the mall. So
yes, they never run out of stuff at the mall. I tried to get a parking spot at the mall over last weekend, and I just gave up. I was like, I'm not, because there are some very serious people in that mall parking lot. Let me tell you, you can get into fights easy. That's why I need Marcus with me.
Come on, man. I done seen some bad things happen over a parking space.
That's true. All right. We have to get to it. I was trying to stall so you felt a little bit better about this, but your Chargers, they finally did it. They cleared house after a 63-21 loss to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. This game was over before it started, honestly, but what kind of direction do you think the Chargers need to go from here? I'm hearing rumors of Bill Belichick. I'm hearing rumors of some other offensive coaches, but where do you think they should go?
Oh, man. I mean, I think that they need a coach that can win over the locker room, and Bill Belichick, I'm not going to lie, he hasn't been my favorite coach. Of course, all the battles we had against the Patriots, I just have a bad taste in my mouth with him. But to be honest, the way he runs a locker room and demands greatness from his players, I think that's something that could be an uplift for the Chargers. But will it happen? I'm not sure. That's a stretch at the best. I mean, he still has to get fired by the Patriots.
Yeah.
But they need somebody to kind of round that locker room up and be a player's coach.
Marcus, let's stay on the Chargers for a second. Obviously, they have a quarterback that's extremely talented in Justin Herbert. What level of attractiveness do you think this job will have around the league, really because of the quarterback they have?
Oh, man, if you bring in an offensive-minded coach, somebody who's not scared to spread that thing around, you got your guy right there. I mean, he can sling that ball all over the field, and that has to be exciting for coaches. I know Staley was more of a defensive-minded coach, so I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of brought in an offensive-minded coach that can kind of help out that star-studded defense with keeping that offense on the field a little bit longer.
Oh, man, that star-studded defense with that defensive-minded ex-head coach that they had didn't look too good this year, but I think that they'll look a lot better next year. He was just we talked about it last Friday. He was in over his head, and now they move forward. I'm not going to gloat, though, Marcus, about my 49ers looking unstoppable right now, but I'll just play this real quick. Bang, bang, Niner gang. And then I'll move on. I knew you'll love that, Marcus. Let's talk about the Eagles, though, because at the beginning of the year, halfway through the year, I thought that was the way to the Super Bowl was through either the 49ers or the Eagles, or both those guys are going to play each other. But they've lost 3 in a row. I'm not going to count them out. But after the game last night, Jalen Hurts said the team wasn't committed enough. So do you think the Eagles can rebound from this late season struggle?
Definitely. If anybody can rebound from a late season struggle, it'll be the Eagles. They have a lot of grit and determination on that team. They got a great defensive offensive line, so you always want to own the trenches. And like I said before, it doesn't hurt when your quarterback can squat the world. I mean, that has to help you out. But if you look at the schedule,
yes, he does.
If you look at that schedule, they've been on a little bit of a gauntlet, and sometimes teams just end up with a tough schedule, and they're in the middle of it right now. They played a hard game against the Seahawks last night, but it's hard to win with the 12th man on your back in Seattle.
Yeah, certainly will be interesting to see how the Eagles respond, how they bounce back. We're talking with Marcus McNeil right now on 97.3 The Fan. Little Sammy and Skraby for you on this Tuesday. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, because, Marcus, this has been a very different Cowboy team at home versus how they play on the road. And I'll tell you, I'm sitting there Sunday getting ready for what I hoped would have been a great game, Bills, Cowboys in Buffalo, and it was anything but. The Bills beat them up. What is the level of concern right now with the Cowboys and really the inconsistency they continue to show?
I mean, the Cowboys are who they are. Like, they play great at home, but they have tough times on the road. I mean, it doesn't help when you're in Buffalo and it's probably -6 degrees up there. You know, that's always tough going from Dallas to Buffalo. But I mean, I think you saw the way that you have to go at the Cowboys. You have to be able to run the ball at them. You know what I'm saying, and not be scared of that defensive front they got, and take away those edge rushers. And that's what the Bills did yesterday. They mixed it up a little bit. Cook looked good out of the backfield and catching the ball. He had over 200 yards. So, I mean, to be honest, nobody really wants to face the Bills. And I think we saw that chink in the Cowboys' armor Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not sad about that whatsoever. I don't want to face the Cowboys in the playoffs. I do not want to face it, which, by the way, I've been playing Madden. I've been telling people I've been playing Madden. But last night, some little kid, it was 49ers Cowboys online, and this kid put in Trey Lance instead of Dak Prescott, and Trey Lance beat me. And that just crushed my soul because obviously Trey Lance was the 49ers big-time draft pick they traded. Has nothing to do with the conversation that we have going on here with Marcus McNeil, but I'll move forward and talk about Patrick Mahomes. Marcus, he's lost his cool a couple times in back-to-back weeks, and I know he's a big-time competitor, but this is a new level of competitor, and I kind of like it. You know that I like my quarterback to be slightly unhinged at times, and I think this fits Patrick Mahomes well. Do you like this for Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, man, I think a little bit of frustration is coming out. I mean, he's been the golden boy since he got into the league. So to see him a little frustrated, a little unraveled, I like to switch up a little bit. I like to switch up. That fire can definitely help out his team some. So, and they're going to need it going into the playoffs. They haven't looked like the Chiefs of old where they're just running through teams and scoring bunches. But when your quarterback gets fired up, it has a tendency to fire your team up as well.
Yeah, especially when it's so out of character. But just to follow up on that, Kadarius Toney, he drops a lot of passes. Obviously, he had the offensive offsides last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, if you're Patrick Mahomes, are you trusting him at all at this point in the year?
I'm definitely. I mean, they run and gun so much. I might throw the ball to them, but we know who they're leaning on. They're trying to find a way to bring in another player, like get Tony to step up so that hopefully they can get people off of Kelsey, and that's Patrick Mahomes, guys. Kind of like Rivers and Gates, They want and need each other, so you got to find out other outlets, other players on that offense that can kind of demand some sort of coverage so that you can't have three people sitting over the top of Travis Kelsey.
Marcus, I'm a baseball guy, so I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball here because I know I'm from New York originally. Okay, now here in Southern California on the West Coast, I am a Jets guy, and it has been it. And they don't. I know they don't do a lot of. I know they don't do a lot of talking about the Jets in all likelihood on this show on a normal day.
No, we do.
Okay.
We talk bad about them.
Okay. Look, this has been a disaster. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's been a disaster from the Rodgers injury. This is a team that has a lot of talent that did not have the quarterback play. You got Robert Saleh. You've got Joe Douglas. If you're the owner of that team, what are you doing with this team, with Saleh, with Douglas, and how are you moving forward with this Jets franchise right now?
I mean, you can't really just burn the whole house down yet. The Jets, I mean, they took a big play last year when they picked up Aaron Rodgers, and he was supposed to be the cornerstone of that offense. So until you actually give Aaron Rodgers the reins to that offense, see what they look like, because they have a lights out defense. I absolutely love Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams on that defense. They have a defense. You just want to see them be able to actually get that offense going. I'll be honest, I would have wanted to see a little bit more Dalvin Cook this year. He was coming off a shoulder injury, but that's kind of, not like a team to have a four-time Pro Bowler come onto your team and then be fighting for touches. Now, hands down, they have a great running back already, but if you have a guy of that caliber, I'm just finding ways to put him in the offense, especially when I lose Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's very strange. Chris, if he was here, he would just blame it all on Nathaniel Hackett. So that's exactly what he would do.
I should have put Hackett in that same conversation with Sal.
I was sparing him because he comes up a lot on this show, and it's not in a good way.
You know, Marcus, I'm with you. I would love to see Aaron Rodgers. What does this look like next year? You know, even if it's with Hackett, with the same coaching staff, everybody's back. I agree with you. You got to see what it looks like next year, and hope it goes well, I suppose. Marcus, there's not a lot of hope for us Jets fans. There just isn't. It is what it is.
Believe me, I'm a Chargers guy. You know, I'm in the same boat right now. It's like, what happened? Like, we were talking about Super Bowl or bust in the preseason.
Yeah, that is
true. Now they're planning their vacation already.
Yeah, in New York, in New York, that's the first. In New York, that's the first sign of trouble. Super Bowl talk.
Yes, Super Bowl talk is when they start going downhill. All right, Marcus, thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for doing what you've done all year long in the NFL, or covering the NFL with us. Like, I know the guys really appreciate it. We're going to be talking to you during the playoffs, but thank you again for all the time you've given us and our listeners this year.
Oh, man, no problems, Craze, man. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. Everybody out there in San Diego, man, y'all have a Merry Christmas.
That was Marcus McNeil, our in-house left tackle of the Gwynn and Chris program, as Chris would say here on 97.3 The Fan. Sammy and Skraby with Frank Marchese finishing out the year of Gwynn and Chris strong today. We still have a countdown to go a little bit later in the show. But I do have some news, and after the break, we are going to talk a little bit about some betting news as well. But could Blake Snell be heading back to Southern California?
Ooh.
I'm going to leave you with that.
Sunny SoCal?
The answer on the other side on 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2 of Sammy and Skraby here on 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby. We got Sam Levitt, who is sitting right across from me, and Frank Marchese on the ones and twos. Now, I told you about something and Blake Snell returning to Southern California. I'll get to that in a second. I have to point out something real quick, though, on the stream. If you are watching the YouTube stream, go to 97.3 The Fan on YouTube or Twitter or, X or Facebook. And I have all of our names on there. Matt Skraby, Sam Levitt, and then I got Frank Marchese. And Casey.
This is the perfect example of why you should not assume and always ask.
Well, I spelled Frank's name wrong, and I have the
did.
Photoshop template back at home, so I can't change it. So Frank's going to be Marchesi. And I was not aware that it was Marchese.
I think the way you spelled it, I think I would say it Marchese.
Marchese.
Frank Marchese.
Frank, I've been listening after we sign off the air
The morning show will not say my name. They will, but we know the gimmick.
It's Italian Paul.
You guys can't get it right.
What is it?
Well, no, you guys, Frank the Tank, Frank Menikazi,
yes.
Now this.
Yeah, I tried to call you Frank, but then I unintentionally spelled your name wrong.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
So I'm sorry about that, Frank. But we are on camera. You can watch us, and I won't hold this information any longer. According to John Morosi of MLB Network, here's the X post that he put out. Source: the Angels have had recent dialogue with Blake Snell, the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner. Of note, since the Angels aren't viewed as a strong candidate to sign Yamamoto, they don't need to wait on Yamamoto's choice to act in the pitching market. So that makes sense. I mean, that they don't have to wait. But the only good news out of this whole thing is that the Angels is in there and not the Dodgers, because if Blake Snell goes to the Dodgers, that would be hard to handle.
Yeah, look, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that the Angels would I guess spend.
What is their goal? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I on the tip of my tongue was spend the money, but they could have re-signed Shohei Ohtani. It wasn't going to be for $700 million. And look, they've won a lot at all, but they have spent a lot over the years. So the idea that they would spend is not all that surprising, but Skraby, that's a better way to put it. What exactly is the plan if you're going to go spend $150 to $200 million on Blake Snell, really, with a team that I don't think is going to be very good next year, and is, even with Mike Trout still there, still more in a
Anthony
rebuilding
Rendon's
phase.
like $40 million contract that he's got weighing them
so
down.
Yeah, it makes you scratch your head a little bit. I'm looking at the replies here on Twitter. I don't call it X. I just still call it Twitter.
I'm just waiting for Elon to sue someone until we call it X.
But like the first reply I see here is, why would he want to go there?
That's a great question.
Well,
it's a great question.
Well, if the Angels were willing to pay him more than other teams, that's
okay.
a pretty good reason.
Do you think that they're going to pay him more than Anthony Rendon of $38 million next year?
No. But they may offer him more than other teams.
Yeah, that is true.
It has been interesting that both with Snell and really Jordan Montgomery too, there's not been a ton in the rumor mill. I mean, I've been a little bit more focused on Snell. Really, with Snell, there's not been a lot at all. Now, the reason for that, you said his name, Yamamoto, probably is the reason for that, because that seems much like with Ohtani, that's kind of holding up everything to see where he goes and what he signs for. I mean, some of the numbers that are being thrown around with Yamamoto are eye-popping, right? I mean, he may end up getting 10 or more years and $300 or more million. I mean, the number like 10-350 has been thrown out there, and the Mets are involved.
10 for 350.
Yeah, Steve Cohen's
Did they
involved.
learn nothing from their signings of Jacob deGrom?
Well, look, this is a bit of a different scenario in the sense that he is 25 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, he's 25. He's an extraordinary talent. Everybody seems to be on the same page as that. If I were spending that money on Yamamoto, What would concern me is that he's not a very big right-hander. He's, sort of a thin right-hander that throws really hard. And I think it is a fair question as to whether that body will hold up over the course of a 10-year contract. And also for as wonderful as he's been in Japan and how widely regarded he is as being a premier talent who is going to succeed in the major leagues, there is a reality that he has not thrown a single pitch in a major league uniform. And that is a reality. So it's all to be proven, in the years to come. So look, back to Snell, I would imagine, and Montgomery for that matter, I would imagine that's part of it. We've heard so little because, Yamamoto's got to go first, and then the rest will happen after that. But I'm not surprised the Angels are in. I'm not.
No, they're known to spend money, but they don't have any. They're not like spending towards a common goal that I can see. It's just kind of random spending.
No.
Anthony Rendon, they're paying. I almost called you Chris for some reason. They're paying Sam Anthony Rendon, a guy who has barely played for them, $38 million this year.
Well,
38.
Yeah, that's just been.
And his contract goes through. I just clicked on his name. His contract goes through 2026.
Yeah, that's been an all-time bad contract. Just has been. So
7 years, $245 million.
Reality,
and he has major league experience. So when he got that contract,
well, right,
maybe it
very
was
different
bad.
scenario. Yeah, and very different scenario, very different, player.
And he had just won the Nationals a World Series.
Yeah, so
helped the Nationals win.
No, I'm not surprised the Angels are in, but yeah, that wouldn't have been on my list of places for Blake Snell to go. But let's see what happens.
Are you not concerned? Are you shocked that Josh Hader hasn't had much news about him as of late?
The only team that it's been reported on that
I know
has been interested is the Dodgers.
See,
now,
we keep trying to stay away from that, but we keep ending up back with the Dodgers.
Look, I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure there are other teams that are interested in that caliber of closer. Look, if we're being honest, he'd be a fit, in LA with the Dodgers, and he's very, very good. So we'll see. I don't know what necessarily would hold up him signing, right? He's not a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens here.
I do have to wonder. Obviously teams are going to have a closer access to ask him these things, but I do have to wonder about the rumors that popped up last year about how he not necessarily didn't want to pitch, but he would more like not to pitch 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, or pitch in like the 7th inning or go for a 6-out save or a 4-out save. And I know that those were all rumors and that we can't verify those, but I have to think it's got to be in the back of some of these teams' minds.
Maybe. Look, I think that would be a conversation I would have
with
him.
Oh, yeah. Can we pitch you 4-out saves? Can you go?
Well, I would hope, if I were a GM or an owner signing Josh Hader, I would hope that the answer is, once I get my guaranteed money, whatever that ends up being, use me however you want to use me. If you want 4 outs, if you want 6 outs, if you want 3 days in a row, that would be my hope. I don't know if that's reality or not, but I would assume that's part of the conversation with teams, just based on kind of, what happened last season and some of the drama surrounding all that with him here in San Diego. So, but look, whatever team gets him, whether it's the Dodgers or another team, they're going to get a great reliever and a great closer and a guy that is pretty automatic. So
we shall see. Pretty automatic.
We shall see. It's been, to this point, let's be honest, it's been such a slow offseason, right? At the winter meetings, we're all sitting there in Nashville just waiting on Ohtani, and it didn't happen. And really, the only thing of consequence, major deal that happened while we were in Nashville was at the very end with the Soto deal. Other than that, nothing really happened. And then Ohtani, signs and Glasnow gets traded. But it seems like now we're all waiting for Yamamoto to sign. It's been a very slow offseason.
Yes,
I was thinking about this earlier today, and maybe you guys have talked about it. We see in other sports like the NBA in particular, free agency happens for the most part really quickly. When it opens, a lot of guys sign. Maybe some of the superstars take more time, but this is not something that is drawn out over months and months and months. It's something that is really exciting. It happens quickly. I can't make up in my mind if it's a good thing or a bad thing for baseball that this is so drawn out over the course of 2, 3, 4 months. It might create more intrigue over a longer period of time, but it's also, to be honest with you, as a fan, kind of frustrating. It goes on for so long.
It does, yeah.
But I don't know. I'd have to talk to somebody, at the Major League Baseball offices to see what they would think about it. But
get Mr. Manfred on the phone.
Get him on the phone, Frank.
Get him on the phone. Call his personal number.
Working on it.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's not play the Daily Gambit Open, but let's just go over some of the things that I was thinking about talking about odds-wise. And so Juan Soto goes to the Yankees, and now the MVP, the futures for the MVP in baseball. Who do you think is the favorite for the MVP in the American League?
In the American League?
Yes.
Aaron Judge.
Correct. He's at plus 550.
Okay.
Juan Soto's at plus 600.
Interesting.
Now, if you go...
So they have Juan Soto as the second favorite.
Second favorite, yes.
Wow.
And then Yordan Alvarez, Corey Seager, Julio Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman. And then for the National League, it's going to possibly be a repeat of Ronald Acuna Jr., according to these odds, plus 550. Then you got Mookie Betts, who he's moving to second base. Like, I wonder how much that kind of changes for, I mean, do certain positions take away from MVP type votes?
I wouldn't think so, as long as Betts produces offensively at the same rate. I don't know as far as defensive metrics.
Yeah.
If you can prove to be more valuable in right field than you are at second base, I don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. Because hitting is hitting. So
yeah, it's possible the defensive metrics may favor you in different positions. I'm not sure. It's a great question. I don't know.
Well, Ronald Acuna Jr. is first, Mookie Betts second, Shohei Ohtani third, Bryce Harper fourth,
right.
Freddie Freeman fifth, and then you got Fernando at plus 1,400. You got Manny at plus 1,900, which Manny's going to be a long shot because he's not even going to most likely play third base or even start the season because of his elbow surgery.
Well,
which has been a little bit quiet. I'm not saying there's anything to report, but I haven't heard anything about it.
All I've heard on that is good. Is that Manny's on schedule, so that's been all good. That's interesting, though. So they have Ohtani as the third.
Yes, he's
highest.
the third.
Well, that makes sense.
Because he's not doing both.
Yeah, he's not doing both. And if there was a year where you're not going to give it to him, no matter what he does offensively, it's this year, right?
Yeah.
Where he's not pitching too. Like I could see voters, and we know with this stuff, it's not just about the numbers. It's about narrative and storyline and, and all kinds of stuff beyond the numbers, right? And the team you're on and all of it. So I this would kind of be the year, even if he has a great offensive year, where they wouldn't give it to him. If there are other candidates, now maybe he has such a great offensive year that doesn't matter.
Like 75 home runs, 200 RBIs.
I think if he hits 75 home runs, he will win the MVP.
That would be a big deal.
So on that list, I'm not sorry. Do you have this list on the document here? Can I look
I
at
don't
this?
know.
Okay.
What do you need to know?
No, it's fine. So where's Fernando and where's Manny?
Manny is Fernando is like fifth. He is fifth in line. Sixth. I'm sorry. And then Manny is 7, 8. He's ninth.
Right.
And then you got guys like Trey Turner. And
so the Padres have 2 top 10 MVP candidates based on the odds, right?
Based on odds right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Kind of, I guess.
So I think there's 2 ways of thinking about that, right? On one hand, it does speak to, I think, even with all the question marks they have, left field, center field, DH, what we talked about in the opening segment, it does remind you of the talent they do have, right? Between Fernando and Manny and Bogarts and Kim and Campusano, and hopefully you get a better season from Cronenworth, all the things we already discussed. It also, is true that you can have 2 great offensive players who are tremendous and have great seasons, and doesn't necessarily always mean you win, right? We could point over to Anaheim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But look, let's look at this positively. And look, it's a good reminder of, hey, the Padres got some guys who, if they play to the highest of capabilities, and I will tell you right now, I believe Fernando Tatis Jr., I'm not the only one to say it. I said it going back to last summer. I believe he is primed for an MVP caliber season.
Well, if you,
for a Ronald Acuna type season of what we saw a year
Wow.
ago.
Okay.
Well, in the sense of, I don't know that he's going to steal as many bases.
Yeah.
But in the sense of coming off time missed, coming off injuries, where he only played a portion of the season. And then we saw Acuna last year was that year for him where normal off season, normal spring training, and we saw what he did. To me, Fernando getting a normal off season, normal spring training, starting on opening day. If I could put money on it, I would say he is prime for an MVP caliber year. It would not surprise me in the slightest if Fernando is on that list at the end of the year, 1 or 2.
If you want to bet Jake Cronenworth for MVP, it's plus 20,000. So
hey,
you can make some money if he has a great year. The World Series odds, obviously, the Dodgers are number 1. Then it goes Braves, Yankees, Astros. The Padres are plus 3,500, all the way down 18th. So they're in the second half of odds for teams to win the World Series.
Really?
And I think that's
interesting.
That's not a bad bet, because you're making a bet just hoping it pays off, but the payout is good enough. Plus 3,500. You put down $100, you make $3,500.
And this is what that's really interesting. So that has them as the 18th best odds.
Yeah, the Giants are ahead of them.
Wow.
Yeah, no other NL West teams are ahead of them.
Really? They have the Giants ahead of them?
They do.
Giants
are 16th.
What other teams are ahead of them?
Oh, sorry, Diamondbacks are also ahead of them too.
Well, look, they did win the National League pennant.
They did, but I mean, do they have
that's not?
Is that going to happen again?
I'm not necessarily surprised by that one. What are the teams ahead of them?
The teams ahead of the Padres are the Rays, Giants, Cardinals, D-backs, Red Sox, Mets, Cubs, Twins, Mariners, Orioles, Blue Jays, Phillies, Rangers, Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, Braves.
Interesting.
Real quick, San Francisco 49ers are your Super Bowl favorites right now, followed up by Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills are now the ninth highest favorite on the list. Their odds are now plus.
I'm jumping on the Bills bandwagon.
You shouldn't.
Why not?
I don't know that they got it this year. Yeah, I just choked on my tongue. I don't know what that was.
That's because you want the 49ers.
Yeah, of course. I'm not a big Bills fan. Anyway, we need to get to break. Oh my goodness, look at the time, because when we get back, Sam Levitt is going to discuss his Hall of Fame softball career that he teased us earlier in the 2 o'clock hour.
Should I text our group chat and say I'm about to talk about him on the radio?
Yeah, you should. That's what we do if you're on the radio. So Sam making his case for the Softball Hall of Fame when we get back on 97.3 The Fan. This holiday season, shop groceries and baking needs in one trip, and that's it at Smart and Final. Sammy and Skraby today. Mark Marchese. Frank, man, I cannot get Frank's name to save me today. It's pretty brutal. Frank Marchese is here
What
in
did
studio
I say?
with us.
Literally at the top of the hour. The morning show won't say my name. You guys can't get it right.
Exactly. That's true. I mean, that's just, I guess, your lot in life, Frank, is to be called Manikazi and all this other stuff because Tony doesn't know how to pronounce any last name. Let's just be real. All right. So we still have our top stories of 2023 that we're going to comment on here at 3:40. But Frank, I need something to set the scene for this conversation. You should hear what Sam's been telling us in the break about this softball league. So let me hear it, Frank, because I'm going to hand it over to the future Hall of Famer. Almost got a plaque in Cooperstown, Sam Levitt. Sam tells, yes, nice job.
All right. Let me set the scene for you.
Yeah, we got real baseball guy in here too. Let's go.
Fall Tuesday nights, Robb Field, Ocean Beach. Me and my softball team. I would say I was the emotional leader of the squad.
Oh, really?
Now, we would shift around positions. It wasn't where you just play shortstop the whole time or left field the whole time. We'd switch around inning by inning, keep it fun. But I would say defensively, I mean, I was Ha-Sung Kim.
Oh, you were playing the hot corner.
Ozzie Smith, Gold Glover.
Wow.
Put me at shortstop. Put me at third base. Vacuum. Now, every once in a
Brooks
while,
Robinson
I may make an error.
Everybody
might
does.
have a ball
Everybody
go through
does.
my legs. But let me give you one specific example. Okay.
Please.
Made an error in the field. I think this was the second inning, top of the inning. Devastating. 2-run score. Team's down. All on me. Head down, heading back to the dugout. I come up to bat, bottom of the second. Nobody on base.
I can't take this.
Swing and a drive. Deep left. It is out of here.
You hit a home run?
Home run to tie it. We're back in it.
Whoa.
Squad goes on to win the game. They're still talking about it in Ocean Beach.
Wow. I didn't expect for the ending to be a home run. I thought maybe you would have cleared the bases or something.
The really miraculous thing about my play with this softball team, not only was it on the field, it was in the third base coaching box as well. That's right. When the team was at bat, I went over to that third base coaching box. I knew the arms of all the outfielders waving in runs. In fact, last game I appeared in all year, missed the last one, was in Nashville.
Wow. And how did they
We're
do
down
you?
2, bottom of the 6th inning. Tying run on third base, winning run on second base, base hit right field. I get aggressive. I've got the windmill going.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
Oh, they make it?
Winning run coming home. Scores. We win.
Oh.
That's it.
Well, now, is it one of those softball leagues where you have to go past home plate in order to score? Was there an
we had
actual
2
play at the
home
plate?
plates. They don't want collisions, so
you
there's
have
2
to
home
run.
plates.
Yeah, you have to run in back of the home plate.
I would say in my first San Diego softball league, my first team, I would say I did pretty well.
I would say so. I mean, honestly, I'm being 100% serious here. I played co-ed softball and all that, and hitting a home run is no joke. It's not easy. I don't think I've hit a home run.
I should be honest.
Is there no fences?
I mean, it was sort of like a double error in left field situation, but it's
Wait,
softball.
you had an inside the park home run.
Wow.
You buried the lead.
Well,
you made me
I
think
wouldn't even
that you
call it-
cleared the fence.
I wouldn't
All
even
right,
call
that's
it.
Music's
I
gone
wouldn't
now.
even call it inside the park. I would say it was a double and a couple of errors.
You have lost the privilege
Wow.
of the music.
I-
Way to ruin it.
That was honestly one of the biggest left turns in radio history right there. I really thought that you had actually hit a home run. I was giving you credit for it. In my head, I'm like, wow, Sam must lift weights when he gets out of here because he's just popping home runs out of the park. Come on, Sam.
It was fun. Shout out to the softball team.
What's your
if
team
you're
name if
listening
you can
right
say it
now.
on the air?
No.
Okay. That is how the co-ed softball goes.
I did not. I did not
Ocean
make
Beach,
the.
no.
I did not make the team name. I'm not saying it.
Okay.
I did not make. Well, you know how these team
How
names
did you find
get.
this team?
It's like fantasy football team names,
Oh, yes,
right?
yes.
Like There's no bad words, but I'm just not saying.
I know what you mean. But how did you find this team? Did they
I
recruit
signed
you?
up for the league. I was a random. Okay.
Man, does this team realize what they got on their team? They got Sam Levitt. Like, what is the lottery ticket for that?
Well, they got to know me a little bit. I'm not like the most, even though on air, like radio wise, broadcast wise, I think I'm pretty friendly. If you see me at the ballpark, I think I'm pretty friendly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But in a social setting, I'm not going out of my way to.
I'm with you.
Be everybody's. I'm nice.
Yeah.
But be like best buddy. It's not my personality.
Yeah,
but
me too.
We had a great time. I hope to play with them again. If they're listening, you know who you are. Maybe. I don't know that you know that I work on the radio. You may not.
Someone commented here on the stream. You can watch us on YouTube. Just type in 97.3 The Fan. From Christian, it says, sounds like you're better than Elo. We play him in Beer League Wednesday nights. Now,
well, I have heard about Elo and Braden. They play on the same team, right?
Braden actually hits home runs. Like, I have proof that he has hit one over the fence a couple times that I've seen. But Chris, on the other hand, Chris loves going to play softball more than anything, and he even knows that he's not much of a mover and shaker anymore on the field.
Wow.
So he's out there pitching sometimes and playing first base. And don't think that I was just disparaging Chris, because he has said this on the show before, that he is now the old man who can't run, so he plays first base or pitches. And he does pretty well. You know what? Chris actually got ejected from a softball game when I was in the field one time, and that is hilarious because it takes a lot to get someone ejected.
Yeah.
And Chris, I gotta say, the umpire in the situation was way out of hand. Chris probably did not deserve to be ejected, but Chris argued with him, and he was like, "No arguing, balls and strikes. You're out of here." It was just like that. Like, wow, okay. And then Chris really went in on him, but just go ahead, softball.
All right, there it is.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Sam. Thank you for sharing that. Have you been? Do you ever play, Frank, co-ed softball?
Last time I did was company softball for Safeway, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
You played at Petco Park?
No, we
Petco Park.
We had a tournament with a lot of
it was something.
No, we had a tournament with a lot of the divisions here, like the district stores here in San Diego,
nice.
And then we went to we won out of our group, so we went to Chino. We played on the Field of Dreams.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
This is crazy. I mean,
we played at I know the last game we payed at was the Yankee Stadium that's up at
in Arizona.
At the Field of Dreams.
Oh, at the Field
Chino?
of Dreams is in Iowa, I thought.
No, in Chino. There's one in
the Field of Dreams in the movie is not based in Chino.
No,
well,
no. The
movie.
Field of Dreams. No, the Field of Dreams is a complex where they have a bunch of fields
I had
that
no idea.
mimic major league stadiums.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this right now. Oh, look at this! In April, getting an $80 million expansion.
Have you guys played pickleball?
No.
I've seen it.
That's the new
it is
rage.
It is the new rage. I would like to start playing it. So Sam, maybe we have to get together and play some pickleball.
I recently was gifted some paddles and pickleballs.
Whoa.
Yes, a
We're gonna
Hanukkah
have
gift.
to. We're gonna have to.
Yes. So I apparently I'm going to learn how to play here shortly.
Well,
I'm a tennis guy. Now I played tennis growing up. I'm good.
Tennis is hard.
I'm good at tennis.
I
in fact, when I was living in Corpus Christi, Texas, I was even in a league.
Dang, I would definitely not be in a league because I cannot figure out how to angle the paddle. I called it a paddle. The tennis racket to not just launch it over the fence every single time I try to do something.
You would learn.
I took tennis PE in high school, actually, and I got really good at just being the guy at the front of the net because we were playing doubles.
Sure.
Anything else, I am terrible. I would just hit them out of the entire school. Anyway, we're a little bit late for break here. We're talking about tennis, and this is the
last show of the year.
This is my favorite show of the year because we get to just talk about nonsense.
I will say this. I know we got to get to break.
We got to get to break, but I will say
this.
Like
Ben and Woods, they have their holiday show tomorrow.
Yes, the
Encourage
extravaganza.
everybody to tune in. I think it's going to be really good.
I saw the setup.
Yes,
setup is incredible.
Without saying too much, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really, really cool. Quickly, they always advertise that show that if you're looking for sports, go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this show here today, last show of the year.
We are definitely taking on them that type of mantra.
Padres haven't given us much to talk about.
No, but they did.
We're
sign,
hanging out. We're having fun.
But
Come
they did
hang
offer
out.
a contract to Yuki Matsui from the NPB. Yes, thank goodness.
Good
I
job,
keep wanting to say
Skraby.
NPL. We talked about a little bit earlier, and we'll get into it. You know what? We need to get the break. We'll update you on
we'll
that
talk a little sports
when we get back. Also, what was my favorite news story of 2023? I'm not talking about sports. I'm not talking about just politics. I'm talking about everything that happened in 2023. I'm going to tell you, and we're going to go over some of the biggest and weirdest news stories next on 97.3 The Fan. Frank Marchese. Kind of rhyming now.
But he's not lazy.
But he's not. Thank you for saving
He might
me
be
right
a little
there,
crazy.
We are going to get into the top news stories of 2023 in just a second.
Was really going to let me go.
Oh, you can go. I'm going to sit back. Please, freestyle, B-Rabbit. Please tell me you've seen the movie 8 Mile.
Yes.
Please, for the love of it, do not let him.
It is a great movie. It is a great movie. I watched it the other day, actually.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
Anyway, we'll get to those news stories in just a second. But first, the Padres, the only real big Padre story for today would be that they are close to signing a Japanese left-handed pitcher, Yuki Matsui. That's all we got right now is that they're close to signing him, but they have offered him a contract, according to the CBS report that I read earlier, also to some other reporters. And he is a closer currently. Now, Sam doesn't necessarily think that he's going to be the Padres closer, but he will be a part of this bullpen staff.
Well, look, and that's all assuming that they come to an agreement with
correct.
him. And John Morosi, I think, was the main major reporter that reported that they are closing in on a multi-year deal. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, quickly to recap it. Look, seems like a very talented left-handed arm. You know, apparently is 91 to 94 miles an hour with the fastball. And I don't know, based on what I've read and what people are saying, that he is, you know, a closer in Major League Baseball, for as good of a closer, as many saves as he has in Japan. But the Padres do need high leverage relievers, and he could certainly be one. And you hope that if they sign him to a contract, he can be at the very least, a late inning, high leverage arm. And right now, you look at the bullpen, it's Robert Suarez, I think, at the moment, and we'll see how it all plays out. But at the moment, Robert Suarez is likely the closer on this team in 2024. And I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody, considering the contract they gave him. And that really, I think, if you sort of understood, or I don't know if read between the lines of when that deal was signed, but with the Hader situation and him heading out after this past season, I thought it was pretty clear that the Padres saw Robert Suarez at least as a very likely potential closer beyond this past season.
That's why they gave him the money a couple years ago.
Right. So you have obviously Suarez, Tom Cosgrove. Look, Matsui could be a very nice high leverage arm. I don't know that'll be your closer based on what I've read, but has talent, has done great things in MPB, and certainly the Padres need relief help. So I am, you know, I'd be curious to see what the number ends up being, what the years end up being, what the contract ends up looking like. But I have no issue with it whatsoever. I think it could be a very nice signing, and the Padres need arms in that bullpen.
They definitely do. All right. That is Matsui. For now, we will get back into that a little bit later. But first, we need to check our traffic report and then some of those news stories in 2023. All right, back here in the Odyssey Palace 97.3 The Fan. If you're just tuning in, Gwen and Chris, they are off until January 2nd. After today, I won't be back until January 2nd as well. Here with Sam Levitt and Frank Marchese. And we need a little bit of a bed underneath this, Frank. I should have told you right there in traffic, but take your time. It's okay. I know what it's like to be in this position that Frank's in right now. But some of the top news stories of 2023, we're going to start with this one first. And it would be Georgia beating TCU in the national championship game 65-7.
Go
and
Dogs.
The reason I did, Braden's not in the building, right? Because he's a TCU guy. He was at the game. It obviously
but Adam's
was
in the
not
building,
fun.
and he's a Georgia guy.
He is a Georgia guy, but I put this in here just because I kind of forgot about it. But again, it was so impressive that they put 65 points on TCU that I wasn't even mad it wasn't a good game.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually, I was in Atlanta watching the semifinals and that great Georgia ending right at New Year's Eve, right as the clock struck midnight. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that too.
Great. Remember
yes.
that? This was not as fun watching this championship game, not entertaining. I hope we have a better one this year, but hey, you know what? Georgia deserves a lot of credit. They beat up the Horned Frogs for sure.
They did beat up the Horned Frogs. Gonzo, yes, I did say not sports, but it's a mixture of things, sports and not sports. Because
is that my Gonzo? Gonzo, is that you? Gonzo in Ocean Beach?
I don't know. Gonzo, comment on the stream.
Big time post-game caller. Gonzo.
Oh, Gonzo.
Hey,
all right.
Gonzo.
I didn't know I was speaking with such royalty. I should have respected him a little bit more.
Yes, you are.
Here's my number one news story of the entire year, and it's that little submarine that tried to go down to the Titanic and it ended up imploding. I think this is like one of the craziest things I've ever heard. They literally got into a tin can, paid $250,000 each to go see the Titanic, and it ended up imploding and they all passed away. And it's sad that those people did pass away, but just the situation that they're in. Can you imagine being under the sea in the middle of the ocean with just a little tin can around you?
Well, it's a very, very sad story. I still get confused on
what are you confused about? I've read about everything you can.
Well, on going down there in seemingly something that was not
It had been down there a couple times before,
Yeah.
but they say, I'm way too much of an expert on this, but they say the carbon fiber hole that they had, it's like microfractured every time they went down there. And so it finally just broke. And they didn't really have much in the way of safety regulations and stuff.
Did you hear what else they said about it?
No, what?
The frame, the outside, the skin that they used.
Yes.
Was a retired airplane frame.
I do remember that.
Because it wasn't safe to fly.
Yeah, so they got it on the cheap, and so they made their submersible out of this rejected airplane material. So basically what they did was they put together a home submarine and tried to go to the Titanic, and those poor people died.
Let me also say this. I don't have any interest in seeing the Titanic down there. Would that excite you?
Yes, I would like to go see it because, number one, we're not going to have it in like 50 years. It's breaking apart. And you could say you're like maybe one of 500 people in the world's history that have seen it under the ocean. I mean, I'm just making it 500, but I don't think many people have seen it. Now, going down there, they would have to drug me and wake me up when I get down there, because that descent of 2 hours all the way down there to the bottom of the ocean is creepy. That part is what would make me not do it, is that like you're on the bottom of the ocean where no light is. Anyway, we can move on now, but that's
really quick.
Yes.
I have seen so many memes recently of people with coal in their stocking, with the comment being, wondering why you have coal in your stocking, and then remembering back to June when you were sending out Titan submersible memes like your life depended on it.
Yes, that is true. There were quite a few memes, and unfortunately, again, these people did die, and I'm not making fun of them for sure. I feel for them, but they also made the choice to go down there. So, all right, next ridiculous story would be Gwyneth Paltrow and her ridiculous skiing lawsuit that happened. She countersued this guy who was suing her, saying that she hit him and she caused some injury. But she countersued the guy for $1 just for the principle of the thing, and then proceeded with her lawyers to put together like an expensive animation of her skiing down the mountain and what had happened. And some say the jury, seeing this video, was sold that she had nothing to do with his injuries. And so she was the one who won the lawsuit. But this whole thing was ridiculous. It wasted court's time. It really did.
You know, what's interesting is that I was not familiar with this story at all. And I am a skier.
You are? Okay.
I've never heard of this before today, this whole Gwyneth Paltrow story. Hope everybody's all right that was involved, number one.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And I need to see the video. I don't even understand what.
It's an animation. It's like some movie studio made this animation showing where she was on the hill, where he was, and it like breaks down minute by or second by second where they were on the hill. And I don't know, but it's ridiculous that she took a. I get why she would defend herself, because if she wasn't at fault, I have no issues with that. But countersuing for $1 and then making this video is what makes me a little funny.
At least quickly, what I looked up here, an article from the AP says a jury awarded Paltrow $1, a symbolic amount she asked for in order to show it wasn't about money, and delivered her the vindication she sought when she opted to take it to trial rather than settle it out of court. I guess I would understand that.
I would too, but if you watched the trial, if you knew
Okay.
anything about the trial, it was kind of a jokey joke fun trial. Not like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial.
Well,
that was much darker.
Let me take this as an opportunity that if you are going up on the mountains this winter, wherever you go, be safe.
Oh yeah.
Be cautious. Don't get
Definitely.
too crazy on the slopes.
No, the slopes, I didn't realize how dangerous they actually are.
People get hurt.
People definitely get
Yes.
hurt. My mom completely tore her ACL and her MCL when I was a little kid, and she had to do one of those toboggan rides to the bottom.
People get hurt. Yep.
Next story would be something to have to do with Hollywood, and it would be the Hollywood writer and actor strike. I guess we're getting all of our new shows back here in 2024, but that was kind of crazy because I didn't realize that some of the rules and believe me, I'm not even close to being up to date on this at all. But they were fighting over streaming residuals, and they were also arguing over whether or not AI can replace these people as actors, which I want actual humans to act. AI is cool when you need to do some special effects, but if it's a whole movie of Tom Cruise, the AI character, I'm not interested. That's very strange to me.
Well, good that the strike's over. Number one,
it is.
I don't watch a lot of TV, so I didn't really notice any difference in my life. My fear right now with the AI,
your voice,
yeah.
Me too, because we played something on the show a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago at this point, and it was Jim Harbaugh admitting fault for cheating, and him saying that Ohio State was better.
I saw that.
So throughout the whole thing, I'm like, oh my, Jim Harbaugh is apologizing for this, and at the end he says that the Ohio State has beat me so many times,
right? And
so I knew it was fake, but that was good enough to fool,
right? And that was a video too.
It was a video,
right? So that's like the deep fake videos.
It does scare me.
Those they're tricky. Now, I always feel like if you at first glance you think it's real, if you look at it,
you can tell.
Expand the screen, you can tell because it just doesn't look right.
Yeah,
your brain's telling you it's not real because it doesn't look right.
You can Google
Jim
Harbaugh.
I'm nervous they're not going to need me anymore with the AI voice.
No,
they're going to be able to do my voice. Only I can do my voice.
That is true, and only you can be you. Your AI is not going to have your personality. So,
but it could.
Just know that it could, but it's all just code in the AI's brain, spitting out things that it thinks it should say. Okay, next one. Elon Musk changes Twitter to X. Happened this year. That was pretty wild, and everything that went along with it, like when he put the big X on the top of his business and people sued him because it was too bright. Anyway, Barbie movie was released. That was a huge deal. I think Chris and his wife had a Barbie movie watch party the other night. Lionel Messi joins MLS, and then a couple weeks ago he said the MLS was a minor league sport. Taylor Swift attends her first Chiefs game.
Yeah.
How could I not put Taylor Swift in this recap of 2023?
I don't know about
she's been a big.
But I'm feeling 22.
Is that a Taylor Swift song?
Yes, I know a lot of Taylor Swift.
I like Taylor Swift's music, but
you belong with me. You belong with me.
I can turn the mic off,
going,
right?
Keep going. Keep going. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Since we're stuck on that right now.
I like that one. You belong with me. I like Cruel Summer. I'm a Swiftie. That's right, everybody out there.
Are you
Sammy loved the Swiftie?
Are you a little perturbed that Travis Kelce is with your Swiftie?
No, not at all. I think it's a great match.
All right.
Like, they very much seem in love. I support them, and I'm rooting for them.
Not necessarily rooting, but I don't mind seeing it. I just don't want to know that she's at the game every 5 minutes.
It's fun.
See, we've been trying to find people that want to see Taylor on TV.
We can only show the sports and the athletes. They've got a megastar sitting there. More people are worried about Taylor Swift sitting there than they are about the 5-yard second down pass.
Maybe in that case, you're right. But
you know what I say to you, Matt Skraby? And the haters gonna hate.
And the player's gonna play. See, Sam, look what you made me do. Yes! Woo! On that note, we go to hour number 3 on 97.3 The Fan. Sorry to everyone who was looking for that. Anyway, you could still find it. It will still be on YouTube if you type in 97.3 The Fan. Also, you can go to X, 97.3 The Fan SD. You could also go to Facebook or Meta as well. Real quick, I just saw a tweet from our guy Kurt Kenny, who covers the Aztecs for the San Diego Union Tribune. And I got to say, Sean Murphy, Sean Lewis. See, Chris has me so messed up with his name. Now I'm never going to be able to remember it. But Sean Lewis, thank you, Sam. He is the new head coach for the Aztecs, and he's bringing in some good looking players. And the Aztecs had their first 4-star high school commit happened today, and it would be Jason Mitchell. He is a safety out of St. John Bosco, and he has committed to San Diego State, already done it. He visited over the weekend, and here's what he said about why he committed. He said, I felt like with San Diego State, they not only needed me, but they wanted me. There were some other schools that were still deciding if they wanted to offer, but San Diego State made me a priority. They have a specific plan in place for me, and they feel I can be an important part of their defense. That was important to me. I didn't want to pick a school just because they lost some other guys. San Diego State put a lot of effort into recruiting me, and I'm very excited about my decision. So 4-star recruits, not bad for Sean Lewis, not Sean Murphy. I think that's a catcher. Sean Lewis and his coaching staff. They had the quarterback last week commit, Danny O'Neill. They had a quarterback from Florida State
AJ
commit.
Duffy.
So things are going in the right direction. And I got to think that Sean Lewis, seems like a really good dude, and I think he gets along with these players. And B, I also think that if he's good enough for Deion Sanders, and even though that Deion kind of benched him at the end of the year, if he's good enough to be on Deion's coaching staff, he's got to be a pretty good coach.
Well, look, time will tell, right? And
Yes.
based on the wins and the losses and how the program evolves over the course of the next couple of years. But no doubt, it seems like this first recruiting class, a lot of success. I mean, getting the transfer from Florida State, getting Danny O'Neill, very highly regarded, 4-star in there, like you said. We'll find out more about the class tomorrow, obviously, on National Signing Day. But exciting for I think Aztec fans and for the future of the program. So look, it's all good stuff, and you see how they develop the program heading into next year. And look, we know with college football programs, really college programs in general, it is not typically an overnight transformation, right? Typically it takes some recruiting. It takes a handful of years to get the program where you want it to go. So, I would encourage people out there to be patient, but yes, the early signs just based on the recruiting, very positive for Sean Lewis. So credit him for that.
Very, very positive. And that's a good thing to head into the new year with some guys under your belt that are biggish names. And that's a little, it's not different for San Diego, but you don't usually get those guys committing to the Aztecs and committing so quickly and early and all that stuff. Anyway, so let's go to a story out of New York, or New Jersey, I should say. And earlier in the day, I had read some things about Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito. Now, his agent, Sean Stellato, is everywhere. And apparently, after he led the Giants, Tommy DeVito, after he led the Giants to a Monday Night Football win over the Packers a few weeks ago, the agent, Sean Stellato, called this pizza place, Coniglio's, and Coniglio's had agreed in principle to have Tommy DeVito show up for $10,000, which is a lot, actually. You got to think that that's a ton for this pizza place to give up. Well, after Tommy DeVito led the comeback, the agent apparently called the pizza place the next morning and said, actually, you know what? It's not $10,000 anymore. It's $20,000. And so the Coniglio's people were like, no, $10,000 was already pushing it for us. We're out on this.
Okay.
And so Tommy DeVito has been kind of thrown through the tumble cycle right now because he's being caught up with this whole bad story. This is a bad story for Tommy DeVito. If I'm him, you just bail out because you want more money. Like, you made a commitment. Go. You're going to make $10,000. You're literally, for 2 hours, you're making $10,000.
Yeah, but you could make $20,000.
I see what you mean, Sam, but the guy already threw out the $10,000 price. No matter what he does on Monday Night Football, should not change the price the next morning.
I agree with you that if you came to the agreement,
it was a verbal and it was not in writing.
Based on your one Monday night win, you shouldn't double the price, especially for a local guy.
What Tommy DeVito should be doing right now is going to every single
What he
place
should be doing
can.
is reading the playbook and practicing.
Thank you, Sam. But no, he's learning how to toss pizza at Caniglio's. But moral of the story, I think Tommy DeVito got a lot of pushback on this, and his agent may have gotten him a little bit in too far. But he showed up to the pizza place today.
He did,
and
unpaid.
He did not get paid.
So the agent. By the way, I like the agent. I do.
Sean
I do.
Stellato.
I like the agent. I don't blame the agent for trying to get more money.
I don't either. But
okay.
Come on.
But the fact that it cost him the original $10,000, not good.
That could get you fired as an agent.
Well, look, I think
I think you should fire him. I'm just kidding, Sam.
Well, maybe he got him a good deal with the Giants. I mean, I don't know. But
that's true.
But the fact that then Tommy shows up at the pizza place unpaid, didn't work out great, right? You should have just showed up for the 10,000. But good on Tommy DeVito.
Yeah,
local New Jersey kid.
If you guys ever
showed up anyway,
Caniglio's?
Good for him. No,
I didn't know if this was like a well-known.
Where in New Jersey?
Middletown.
Middletown. Where's Middletown?
Or is it Middletown or Morristown?
I got to be honest.
I think it might be.
I don't know
Morristown.
New Jersey well.
I think it's Morristown.
All right,
actually.
if we're all going to type in,
I think it's Middletown. No, I think it's Middle. Well, I don't know.
Anyway, Tommy DeVito, you're right.
Northern New Jersey.
You're right, though, Sam. He did lose out on money, and you know what? I give him credit for going, but I'm talking to my agent, being like, "You just cost me $10,000, Sean. I want that back in my paycheck next week."
Oh, hypothetically, he should be able to make it up if he can have a nice long career in the NFL, whether that's with the Giants or not, and make tons of money from other things as well as an NFL player.
Oh yes, I don't need. He's got to ride his fame as he has it right now, because I don't know that Tommy DeVito has a bigger star than right this moment. I'm looking at the X post from Darren Rovell, who took a video of him making it, and the first comment under this is some guy saying, "Are these your videos and pictures? Are you there? Please credit the right people if you're using their content." And Darren Ravell replied with, "Yes, I'm here." And he put up his own stuff. And some guy goes,
That's
"Well,
good.
that is that."
Yeah, that's good. All right. Good
So
for
crazy.
Darren. I am looking at this here. Darren, who I know, by the way. Darren.
Oh, you do?
Yes. Tweeted earlier this morning, a public signing that Tommy DeVito is apparently having tonight in East Hanover, New Jersey. And it's at the Hobby Hive. I don't know what kind of establishment this is, but the VIP package is $225. Would you like to know what you get with that? Okay, I'm going to tell you anyway.
The answer is no.
Okay, here we go. Photo with Tommy DeVito.
Oh, I got to have the photo.
Autographed photo.
And he has to do the Italian thing.
VIP swag bag and 15% off at the Hobby Hive through January 31st.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty good
$225 for the VIP package. I got to be honest, Tommy, that seems like a lot. But if there's I always say if there's a market for it and people want to pay, go for it. It also says here $75 photo only. So, yes, so you get a photo for $75 with Tommy.
I think, oh my gosh. So I just went to the Hobby Hive. It's like a comic book store, like a sports it's like a memorabilia store. And it pops up with limited public signing December 19th. Meet Tommy, quote unquote, Cutlets DeVito. And I'm pretty sure that the cutlets is like what people don't like about it. But yeah, the Hobby Hive, that's interesting. I think that those establishments are the ones who are charging for those, right? Like Tommy DeVito is getting paid just to be there, drawing the people in, and those establishments. He's not making the $225.
I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised though if he gets a cut of everyone.
And you have to pay an additional $25. It's like, say Sam and I went to meet Tommy DeVito.
But it also gets people into that store.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I have no idea.
Tommy is paid to be there and bring people in the store.
Yeah.
And then they collect. And I'm sure maybe he makes a little bit on it. What I'm saying is this money's not going into his pocket.
Get me Sean Stellato on the phone. We want to talk to Stellato. Get him on the phone. He was on WFAN the other day. Get him on the phone. We want to break down what's going on here.
That would have really helped me like 2 years ago. It doesn't help me much.
Work
right
your
now.
contacts.
Work your
Marchese.
contacts, Frank. I'm still waiting for whoever you're calling earlier, Rob Manfred.
Listen, Tommy DeVito's on his Jeremy Lin story arc right now. He's riding it. Just let him ride the wave.
Look, hey, it doesn't have to be that way, though. And not that it's going to be with the Giants.
Yeah.
But he's played, I would say, well enough that he could find himself as a backup somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
A backup? Yeah.
In today's NFL?
Yes.
Have you seen these quarterbacks?
I don't know that he's competing or at least given a shot at a starting job somewhere and then becomes the backup, but he's definitely a backup in camp for sure.
I would think so.
And I think that the Giants are probably going to be stuck bringing him back because everybody loves him. Everybody loves him. Hey, Frank, real quick. I just got a chat on the YouTube stream.
I know. I'm replying to it right now, actually.
Chance Bowman says, Frank is a Padre hater, I think.
Wow.
Last time he was on the show when I watched on YouTube, he was totally going to the bathroom on the Padres. So, Frank, what do you have to say to that? Are you a Padres hater?
I am not a Padre hater. And as Brandon correctly pointed out, I do root for the Padres all but 6 or 7 games a year. And of course, those are the 6 or 7 games where they play the Mets. I like to take a look at it as being realistic. Sometimes being realistic is positive.
What did you say today?
Realistic is negative.
What have you said today?
No, he said one of the last times, I think probably when I was on Bennett Woods.
I will say that Frank is he's a New York sports fan. He's emotional. He's reactive. He's a fanatic. That's what fans, we always say that on this show. Fan is short for fanatic. And the only thing that I really get crazy about is 49er football. Other than that, like, I can keep my cool. But Frank is a New Yorker. And so he needs to say what's on his mind. And when the Padres are going 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position, Frank may bring that to light. And hopefully that does not happen.
Or when you're losing 3 out of 4 to the Washington Nationals when you're in a playoff race at home, I say you should give the fans that went their money back.
Well, that is a whole different ball game right there. They're giving the money back. But yeah, I mean, last year was tough. And there was lots of things said by a lot of different people because of how tough this year was for everyone, for fans, for me, for Frank, for Sam, definitely, who was there every single day, like in the middle of the summer.
Come on, our post-game shows are all roses.
Yes,
it was
Sam
positive.
tried.
It was positive-ish, almost to a fault. But I mean, I've said it so many times this year. What happened this year with the Padres is just inexplicable. Everyone has bad years. Unfortunately, everybody had a bad year all at the same time, and that's just sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
that's how baseball goes. There's no explanation to it. Now, if it happens again this year, then yeah, we have a problem.
But
last
Houston,
year
we have a problem.
Last year was just a glitch.
Well,
I expect them to be a different team this year.
This harkens back to a conversation I had earlier today with somebody in this building. Even right
must
now,
have really stood out to you.
Even right now, with the question marks this team has, and what we've talked about already, left field, center field, DH, starting pitching wise, relief wise, I still, if I were a betting man, would bet this team wins more than 82 games in 2024.
I would hope you're right.
Okay. Are they going to win 95, 100 games? Well, we got to see what the roster looks like.
Let's get to 90 before we get to 95.
Truly. But I still, just based on how weird last season was, how wacky it was. Oh, and we don't need to get back into it here on the final show of the year, the extra inning stuff,
the
one-run stuff, the runners in scoring position, the fact that you look at a lot of the final numbers, and you look at Juan Soto's numbers, you look at Manny's numbers, you look at Fernando's numbers in a shortened year, and you look at what the pitching did, and it just sort of all didn't make sense as to how you could only win 82 games. I do think there's got to be a little turn the other way with all that stuff. Now, is that guaranteed? Absolutely not. Okay, if the Padres start next year, first couple of months, and they're struggling in close games and struggling with runners in scoring position, it's not going to feel good. it isn't, because then you're going to say, well, it's a continuation of the year before. But I'd still, even right now with the question marks they have, I'm still pretty positive this is a team that wins more than 82 games in 2024.
I would agree with you.
We'll see.
I would agree with you. All right, let's go to break. But I have a comment from the stream that was talking about some of Sam's post-game shows. And I want to kind of talk through this comment. And we'll do that when we get back here on Sammy and Skraby with Frank Marchese on 97.3 The Fan. Daisy is going to be hosting that. I'm Matt Skraby with Sam Levitt, Sammy and Skraby for today. And so before we went to break, I was reading some of the stream comments, and I got a comment from Brandon. Brandon's very active in our stream, so thank you, Brandon, for that. But here it is, and I wanted to break it down a little bit. Sam, he says he hopes you're right that everything is going to turn around next year. But I tuned into plenty of post games last year where you kept saying you expected a run out of a team that didn't win 4 in a row until September. Now, Brandon, that is correct. But what I will say about saying that they're going to win 4 in a row is that every single baseball expert we had on our show, Gwen and Chris, all season long, said, I'm waiting for them to turn it around. I think they finally turned it around. They get to what, like 3 in a row, and then they couldn't do the 4 in a row thing. I would say that every single baseball expert was wrong last year. So, Sam, I don't fault you for saying that you think 4 in a row could happen, because 4 in a row in baseball just does happen.
The A's won 4 in a row earlier than the Padres.
They won like 8
did.
or 9 in a row.
Look, I don't think what I said is that I'm guaranteeing that some of the luck will turn around, some of the weirdness, the 1-run games, the extra inning games. I'm not guaranteeing it. Do I think they will be better naturally in those categories? I do. Like I said, if I were a betting man, I would bet, just based on some of the weirdness of last season alone and the talent they already have, this is a team that will win more than 82 games. To your point, everybody, including me, including you, I'm presuming, including Tony, Chris.
I think Chris said water is going to find its level about 7,000 times.
Expected before September for the Padres to go on the run. And unfortunately, it happened too late, right? I mean, it happened at a point where they were far enough out of it where even as well as they played in September, it wasn't enough to make the postseason. It was only enough to get to 82 wins. Unfortunately, that's the way it happened. But look, you're right. I think, you talk to anybody around the game, and I talk to a lot of people around the game every day and at that ballpark, and I think pretty much everybody thought that this team before September, before when they did turn it on, was going to get it going. And it didn't click until it was too late. And look, I that's part of the reason why I think last year was, as disappointing and in a lot of ways kind of as shocking as it was, because I think in your baseball brain, what we know about the game, what we know about talent, even teams that get off the slow starts but are really talented and have the pitching they did, more times than not, they tend to get it going.
Yeah, they do.
And it just didn't happen until it was too late. Hey, they did have a great month of September, but it was not enough, and they needed that earlier, and it didn't happen in time.
Last year, I can't remember which guest we had on the show, but they described it like this. The Padres last year were designed around Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Xander Bogaerts hitting well, and they just didn't. If you get 2 of those guys back, well, Juan Soto's out, so you only have 3 of those guys now. But if you get at least 2 of those guys on a given day, or even one guy doing something really great, that's going to go a long way to help. But last year, they were so ineffective in that part of the order for a long time that it just buried them too early. And it was just so hard to come back from.
Well, look, there was definitely an element for most of the season where you needed the stars to be stars, and that wasn't consistent enough. Stars being stars, and in specific situations as well. Let's not forget how much of an issue runners in scoring position was for this team. Really for most of the year. If that number had been better, if they had performed better in those spots, you're probably looking at a different season. You're probably looking at, I don't know how many more wins, but certainly more wins that potentially would have put you in the postseason. So that was certainly part of it. It was a wacky, kind of weird year that was hard to explain. And then you pair it with just the toughness in close games and the extra innings and all
basically
of it.
Everything about last season.
And, look, we have talked about it for months on end now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it all summer.
And this is the year in review show. So this is what we're doing
right. So look, I'm not putting a guarantee on it, but I do think in all likelihood, a lot of those things will be better naturally. The 1-run games, the extra innings. Like, I'm willing to bet they're not going to be 0-12 in extra inning games.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
you
was
almost refuse.
Was that a record? Did they set the record last year, or did they tie the record? I know it was there.
I can't even remember now. No, they were 0-12. They tied it.
I think they won 2 extra
Well,
games.
but when they were
at the end of the year.
when they started 0-12, I think it was the first time a team had gone 0-12 since the Expos in like 1969.
0-12, yes, was the tied for the worst in Major League history.
And that was the Expos in 69, I think.
It doesn't tell me here, but yeah, that is what they tied for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not, like you said,
it.
Bottom line is it's going to be really hard for them to go 0-12 next year. It's going to be really hard for them to go 7-22 in 1-run games. It's just so insanely crazy that happened.
Let me read a comment here from the YouTube stream. We have Abraham saying this Padres organization will succeed more with homegrown talent instead of outside star players. Let's focus on the homegrown talent part of it, because I think as this offseason is playing out and the Padres haven't signed anybody yet.
Yeah.
And they haven't made a big move yet. And we know there are needs. There are certainly needs. Well, number one, like we said earlier, it's December 19th. There's a long way to go, and a lot can happen between now and the start of spring training. I think we do have to wait a little bit to judge this offseason until it's all said and done, based on the Soto trade, based on the money that was freed up. I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
But there is a growing possibility that players from this AA group that finished last season together,
Jackson
Merrill, Marcy, who they're really high on.
Was he a little bit lower down?
I don't know if he got the AA or not.
All I know is that they love that name.
Yeah.
And they are
well,
ready
Snelling
for him.
was great. He was fantastic. But Marcy, Merrill, Graham Pauley, another name in there. Look, I do think this is a group that they believe at some point this season will contribute. What I wonder is that going to be a scenario on an opening day roster? Because for Jacob Marcy, for example, okay, I do think they're extremely high on him. I do think he may be your center fielder of the future, but at the same time, he's played a very limited amount at AA. He was fantastic in the Arizona Fall League, which is great. This is all great stuff.
Yeah,
it's great to have a great prospect like that. Is he ready to win a job in spring training? Maybe. The answer might be yes, but I mean, we don't know that. And quite frankly, even if he has great spring training and he ends up on this opening day roster, I mean, he's a rookie. You don't quite know what you're going to get. You can't guarantee what you're going to get from him if he makes a team. So the point being, back to the homegrown players, I think it's great for the Padres. It's something they need to start doing, to start developing talent. Of course, that talent, you sometimes use it for a trade. They've done that plenty.
Yeah.
It has to be done. It's part of the reason Blake Snell was here. It's part of the reason Yu Darvish is here. It's part of the reason Joe Musgrove is here. It's part of the reason Juan Soto was here.
It's necessary, but it also has to have some balance on the other side.
And I think we are in the next few years, and this year, we're going to start seeing the other side of it in development, and guys show up to the major leagues, and you need that. You need that to be a good organization year after year, to be competitive year after year. From the cost perspective, having young, cost controllable talent, as we know, is really important. It's going to be a big part of things moving forward. My question right now is, for this season in particular, is that group, are they going to be ready to contribute at that kind of level to a team that you want to go to the postseason? That's going to be, if there are going to be guys that are on the opening day roster, that's going to be a big question. Are those guys ready to contribute at that kind of level?
I don't think they have a choice, really.
Well, again, let's see what the roster looks like in a couple of months. You can't quantify it yet, because you don't know what the whole picture looks like, because we talk about the homegrown players, but there's also a universe where the Padres spend this money that they freed up. And even if it's going to get a couple of guys on 1-year deals to play left, to play center, to start relief, whatever it is,
just get reliable names in there.
Right. And that pushes the timeline for these big prospects back a little bit. So again, I know it's hard for the fans out there, but you just have to. I think you have to be a little patient to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
As we get towards spring training, there's a lot of different avenues they could go.
Yes, definitely. All right. Before we get to break, I have to remind you that Chris versus the Fans, the days that we did play it, and today, we didn't because Chris isn't here, but it's brought to you by Tarpey Plumbing, Heating, and Air for best HVAC and plumbing services in San Diego and the surrounding areas. Called Tarpey today. Also, tune in to Kickoff with Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti. Every week, Boomer and Valenti preview the entire slate of NFL games. Analysis from Boomer, picks from Mike, the biggest stories in the league packed into an hour. Friday nights at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan, and always live on the free Odyssey app. Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. Sammy Skraby, Frank Marchese here, 97.3 The Fan, doing the last show of the year for me and for the afternoon spot. When we get back, we have the Big Five, and I'm looking through the Big Five, and the things that I wrote in the Big Five are no longer there. Frank has changed the Big Five out, but what I do see is that there may be some movement on this Bally Sports stream, and some big conglomerate may purchase it to make it easier for you to view. So we'll talk about that when we get back in 97.3 The Fan.
You can always listen to games on the radio.
Yes, you can. And on the Odyssey
All
app,
right,
97.3 The Fan. I hope you all are enjoying the last Sammy and Skraby of 2023. I think it may be the only. No, there's been another Sammy and Skraby. I think at least 2 this year. I'm getting text messages that it's going well, Sam.
Really?
So,
Who texted you?
a friend of mine texted me. They
Oh, yeah? Who?
love you.
Really?
You know,
Wow.
5 o'clock. I don't even know if this is anything that people really care about, but I do get a lot of questions about Sam Levitt.
Why is that?
Just because people want to know about you and who you are, and because on the talk show, I have with the guys 4 hours every day to show everybody how weird I am and who I am and say weird things, and that's me. But for you, you have a set program that you need to get to on your shows with the Padres pre and post game. So you're not able to show that personality. And so I'm glad that people are getting to know a little bit of Sam Levitt. We would have never known. He is a Hall of Fame softball player until he came on the show today.
He is a complete and total goober.
He's not a goober.
God, yes, he is. You are not in here with him. This is the same guy who saw the Padres get a hit after a long string of not getting a hit and spike his whiteout tape in celebration, completely shattering it.
Wow.
And then got mad at himself for spiking said whiteout tape.
So I would say I do think I show my personality quite a lot. Now,
I didn't mean to say it like that.
Oh.
I mean, but people don't get to hear these stories.
Well, I don't do 4 hours a
you don't
day
talk
where
about
we're-
how you opened a gift
Right.
and you didn't like it, but you tried to pretend like you liked it, like I did yesterday.
right.
Yeah.
Or you hear me talking about softball or whatever
Things
it
like
might
that,
be.
yeah.
Now on social media, I think I do show my personality a lot.
You do.
You know what was I going to say? Oh, this was because you mentioned your friends asking about me.
Oh, yes.
I got a DM on Instagram, and they might be listening right now. A DM on Instagram last night. I answered it this morning saying, "Hey, I saw you this weekend at a local establishment."
Okay.
I didn't say hi. So if you see me out and about, say hello. Don't be shy. Always say hello. I'm happy to talk to you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. It like I some people say that they don't pull me aside often, but sometimes people in like the AA world will pull me aside and be like, "Hey, I know you're supposed to be anonymous and everything, but I love your show," type of thing, which is very nice. And I love meeting everyone because it is actually nice to put names to faces. I'm someone who like needs to feel like, the person, like I kind of know that there's actually a person behind the account that I'm talking to, because there are a lot of accounts that don't seem like their person. Anyway, we'll get into this a little bit later. We're cutting into the Big Five time. This holiday season, shop groceries and baking needs in one trip, and that's it at Smart and Final. Right now, traffic, then the Big Five.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicki Pepper.
This report brought to you by Mission Federal Credit Union. 67 south at Rancho Del Oro, a head-on collision on the shoulder. Expect big delays there. 5 north at Oceanside, a disabled vehicle blocking the off-ramp. 15 north at Rancho Bernardo, an earlier wreck cleared, but expect residual slowing from Claremont Mesa. And in Paula Mesa, 15 north past the 76, a crash involving a semi blocking the 2 right lanes. You're at a standstill from Lilac. Why wait for New Year's resolutions? Mission Fed has great rates on certificates, so you can earn more on your money right now. Get the details at missionfed.com. Restrictions and membership criteria apply. Federally insured by NCUA. I'm Vicki Pepper with Gwen and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
I am not the master of ceremonies. Frank is. So take it away, Frank.
That I am.
Number 5.
So since I am the master of ceremony, you'd think I'd be prepared and have the page up, but I didn't. All right. Last baseball season, both the Padres and the Diamondbacks fell victim to Bally Sports pulling out of their TV rights contract. With Diamond Sports Group declaring bankruptcy, it has opened the door for a newcomer to jump into the local sports scene. Amazon is testing the waters around possible investment into Diamond Sports Group, which will move Bally Sports Plus streams to Prime Video. It's not the first time Amazon has dipped into the local sports market. They were the home of the Seattle Sounders before Apple Plus bought the streaming rights for the MLS, and they have streamed some Yankee games through their investment ties with the Yes Network. Skraby, how do you feel about Amazon possibly taking over these deals?
Well, if Chris was here, it would be, well, I hate streaming and I don't know how to use it. But he's not here. And I think this is a good move if it does go through, mainly because so many people already have Prime Video to begin with. And so it's not much of a difference. And I personally have come to like the Thursday Night Football game on Prime Video because they have a couple different options. And I watch the Next Gen Stat channel, which still has the announcers, but it also has some cool stuff on the screen. So I think this, in the scheme of things, I think this would be a good idea because it's a place where people already are familiar with, and it's not like they have to download a new app and do all these different things. But I'm as much as I don't like big business getting bigger, I'm not mad at this as much.
Do you know, would this mean that there would be no more Major League Baseball on Bally?
See, I tried to
TV?
figure this out.
Would this
because
become streaming only?
yes.
So if you were a fan of,
well, no, I can't say yes because I read 3 different articles about this, and I don't think they have the full details
right,
on
so
this.
it's the stream.
It's a stream for sure.
So would you still be able to get it on MLB? Like if you're a fan of the Reds, they're on Bally. Would you still be able to get it on MLB TV or
no? I think
Amazon? Would you be able to watch it on Bally in Cincinnati?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I guess it'd be okay.
No, I can't say yes because I'm trying to think of through the articles, but it is a little confusing. However, I do know that Prime does know what it's doing with the streaming. I'd rather have these games be on Prime than be on Apple because Apple is more of a barrier to entry to people than Prime is.
I will say this: I don't have any problems with the streamers, but you do lose a little something when you can't flip channels. Have you found that?
It's something we talk about on the show all the time. Yes, absolutely. It's a problem. And because I'm not much of a channel flipper, I will sit through commercials. It doesn't matter to me. But I know a lot of people are.
Right.
And you have to sit through the commercials, which is another ploy.
Right. Unless you want to exit out of the app. Yeah.
And then restart the app. But
I need to read more about this.
Me too. This is interesting, though, because I feel like this could help baseball in the long run.
And from what I'm reading,
it helped Bally too, right?
Yes.
And from what I'm reading, it doesn't look like this is going to affect the Padres at all because Bally already cut ties with the Padres.
That's true.
Season. So
now, the deal that they had last year was that you could watch it. You could pay for the app, or if you pay for the TV. Yes.
Right. And on MLB TV, correct me if I'm wrong, you could stream it here.
No.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. Well,
on MLB TV? No, I thought it was blacked out. When it was on Bally's, it was blacked out.
You had to buy the package.
You had to pay an extra $20 to get the local team so you could get around the blackout.
Look, from just a viewability, accessibility standpoint, I mean, you could watch Padres games after the Bally stuff happened last year. You had more places and ways to watch it than before.
Yeah, that's true.
So from the fan perspective, I think a lot of fans found it better. Easier.
Or you just get a VPN.
Number 4.
Allegedly.
The season-long question of will he or won't he has come to an end. The savior of football, Aaron Rodgers, has announced something that we all already knew, that he will not play in 2023. This breaking news comes on the heels of the Jets being eliminated by the Dolphins on Sunday. Rodgers said, quote, "If I was 100% today, I'd be definitely pushing to play, but the fact is I'm not." That goes against almost everything that Rodgers has been pushing all season long, saying while he's been recovering in record time from this Achilles surgery. Sam, you're the Jet fan here. Defend your goof. I mean, quarterback.
I have nothing to defend. I mean, we knew Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to play. This idea that he was going to make a miraculous recovery. What is he, 38, 39? Stop.
I think he's 39. Stop, you just say?
It's more ridiculousness around the New York Jets.
I'll tell you what's going on.
And they're eliminated.
I'll tell you what's going on.
Aaron Rodgers
loves attention.
I mean,
enough. I hate
maybe he'll be a Jet next year. Maybe he won't.
No, he will be a Jet next year.
Maybe they'll run Zach Wilson out there again.
We have a Jet spiral happening in front of us.
Hackett. So just run it all back.
Just run it back. Zach Wilson, starting quarterback.
Sign Tommy DeVito. Let him start.
Oh man, we almost fell into a good old Jet spiral there for a second.
Spiral and going to number 3?
No, we're gonna. I gotta say this about Aaron Rodgers, and I've never met him. I don't know him, but what it seems like to me is that he really likes to play up things, and then if they don't happen, he was never actually planning on doing it at all, which is kind of weird because he has been telling everybody all year that he wants to be back before the season's over. I mean. He said also that last year or next year may be his last year as well. But you know what's going to happen? He has a good year. They go into the offseason. They're going to be like, will he or won't he come back? And then we're going to do it all.
Well, I mean, if
again.
he's good, if he plays next year and he's good and they win, come back. Yeah.
Brett Favre all over again.
Number 3.
Since 1967, the Masters has had a field of under 100 golfers, and this year is set to be significantly smaller even by Masters standards. The 2024 Masters could see a field as small as 77 golfers, including 11 being added from the top 50 rankings, 3 of which have never won a PGA or European Tour event. This realization comes a few days after the 2023 Masters champion, Jon Rahm, leaves to sign with Live Golf, and a day after Victor Hovland had to stave off rumors that he would be doing the same before taking his own shots at the PGA. Skraby, is your sport in trouble?
First off, it's Victor Hovland. And
is that not what I said?
You said Hovland.
Oh.
I'm really splitting hairs here. Is my beloved sport in trouble? And the answer is yes. I said this last week whenever we talked about it. When money in the sport becomes bigger than the actual sport, then you lose me a little bit. And I'm not a fan. I don't care about the 77 golfers. It doesn't bother me. I'm just not a fan of where golf is going right now. It's not in a good spot. And pretty soon professional golf is going to be a sideshow altogether. So yes, I'm a little nervous about my beloved sport of golf.
You're the golf guy. I'm not the golf guy. Didn't they come to an agreement where they were gonna?
It's been stuck.
Wasn't
in
the
courts.
whole point to kind of
but
this over?
But the United States doesn't really like a United States company working with a foreign entity like the Saudi. I think it's the not the investment fund is what it's called. The PIF is what it's called. But so it's been held up in like courts and Congress and all this other stuff.
Let me ask you one thing quickly.
Yes.
If everybody went to Live and it was new tournaments, but same group of players playing for tournaments, and let's say the majors were 4 other tournaments, quote unquote majors.
That would really bother me.
Would that do it for you?
No, I would
like. Would
if
that,
they get rid of the U.S. Open
and
the Masters, and I don't really care about the PGA, but it's been around for so long, and the Open Championship is one of the oldest golf tournaments in the world.
I'm with you.
If they were to go and name Live Australia as their new major, I would be done. Okay. And I know that
fair.
I mean, the U.S. Open's been giving out a trophy since the 1800s.
Not fair. I totally get it.
I could keep going, Sam. I will get very angry if they take away the Masters. Brandon, we've been mentioning you a lot, Brandon, today, but you had some good points, so I will. Does Jon Rahm come back to give out the green jacket even if he doesn't golf? A defending champion hosts dinner during Masters Week as well. Brandon, I'm very not concerned. I'm very curious to see what happens with this because Jon Rahm chose Live. He chose that $350 to $450 million, which I would too. But this is bad news. And I would be out if they changed the majors. I would totally be out. Don't go to the next one, Frank, because we're not going to make it through number 2 and 1. So we will do a carryover on a day that I hate.
Okay.
Everybody knows I don't like carryovers. And so on the day that the guys are not here, we have to do a carryover, which means if it ever gets back to them, they will bring it back to.
What's the big
Remember
deal?
That one time you had to do a carryover?
But it's like a good old fashioned radio tease. This is our holiday show.
It is the year in review show, the holiday show. You know, I saw something really strange today in studio. I've been working here for almost 6 years. I don't even know, maybe even 7 years. But I saw Paul Reindl past noon here at the studios. I can't even tell you. I haven't seen Paul Reindl at the studios in years. because I come in at noon. He's out of here at like 11:30 or whatever.
And
he leaves.
those guys were here a while today, getting ready for the holiday extravaganza tomorrow morning.
If you are like on the fence about whether or not you're going to tune into this extravaganza, jump off the fence and tune in tomorrow for this extravaganza.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
It's
and
incredible.
I would encourage people to watch on YouTube, because I think it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Not only listen to. So I don't want to give too many details away. And quite frankly, I don't even know many of the details, because
Are you?
I'll be there.
Oh, you will.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'll be doing some assorted things, just helping out.
I mean,
It's a big event.
You're
so,
a big star. Don't they don't have like an autograph station for you or something?
I'm a fan of all the shows here on the Fan. I'm
just saying they don't have you in the corner signing autographs for people.
No, but we're gonna have a good time.
I think they should.
He didn't get his 10 grand.
Oh, hey, you didn't get your 10 grand. You don't sign autographs.
Well, if Ben and Woods would like me to, I mean, they could pay me.
Yeah, they could.
I'm open for deals.
All right, when we get back, we got two more topics. Tua's little brother has something going on. Also, Florida State talk. That's what we have when we get back on 97.3 The Fan. Sammy and Skraby and Freak. Man, final hour of 2023 on the way. This is Sammy and Skraby. We're filling in for Gwen and Chris. Frank Marchese here on the ones and twos, and it's been a good show so far. Lots of Padres talk. We found out Sam is a Hall of Fame softball player. We also found out some other things about Sam. So please go back on the podcast and listen to that. You can go to 97.3thefansd.com, go to the Gwen and Chris podcast section, or go to YouTube. You could rewatch the YouTube channel anytime you want. You can go back in time and see other shows, and even go back to the time on Halloween when we interviewed Bob Melvin and I had face paint on. Nothing like having a Nothing like having a serious conversation with Bob Melvin on Halloween, and I had face paint on in the cameras. So that's how that went down. What?
When was that?
On Halloween, October 31st.
Oh, that was this year.
Yes, this year.
Okay,
that was like
that was after Bob left.
Yes, he came back on to address the Padres fans and everything.
I'm sorry,
like
I was like confused.
No, it's okay. But
it's been 3 hours already. I'm not used to this.
You are not. No, but
sorry,
I mean, let's get real though. You are used to a fast-paced, moving environment because I've been sitting next to you at games before, and you are constantly working.
Yes,
you're doing updates.
I have many responsibilities.
You're doing social media, and then he'll just get up and be like, man, and like he'll do an update that airs on the other stations, and then like he'll sit back down and someone will hit a home run, and then he'll have to go do another update to replace the update that just happened.
I could tell you from someone who has sat next to him for many games last year and probably will for many games this year, for a guy who gets paid to watch every single pitch and analyze the game the way he's supposed to, this man sees probably 10 pitches a game.
I
would say 9.
He is always up doing something, whether it's like you said, social media, those reads.
I will come to his defense. Down. I will say that Sam sees more than 10 pitches. But
I see everything. Well, I don't see every pitch because I have things to do. I'm working.
He is.
But
he is.
I know everything I need to know when I need to know.
Through the game day scroll.
No, well, look, there are times where I need to catch up on what happened, or sometimes where I need to see something that happened. I move around a lot, and this is not like for fun. This is like for work purposes.
Yes.
I got a lot going on,
moving and grooving,
which is good. It's good. It's part of the deal. But
it is.
I got a lot to do. You are correct, Frank.
I don't know why Frank had to throw you under the bus, but
oh no, that wasn't throwing under the bus.
No.
That was me saying this man is working.
Well, I'll give you, not that anybody cares, but
I was witnessing a fight.
I'll give you an example. Like late in games when the team's at home, I get ready to do my interviews. The spot I wait to do my interviews, you don't always get a great view of what happened on the field because you're down kind of behind the dugout.
To the left of the Padres
it's a great
dugout.
spot. You get a great view of the pitcher and catcher.
Sometimes it's tough to see.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, it's great. I love being down there. But let's say there's a play all the way in right field. I may not see exactly what happened. So sometimes when you get up for the post game, I got to sort of catch up to see what exactly, what it looked like, what happened. But we make it work. Make the radio magic happen.
You do. There's nothing more stressful for me than, I believe it was June 5th. I'll never forget the day when I took over for Sam. I think he was out for like three games or something like that in June. And they played the Cubs. They beat the Cubs. I was able to interview Gary Sanchez on the field after they won. He had a big game. And so I get the interview and I look at my watch and it's like 1 minute until showtime. I have a text saying, "Are you there yet?" And I'm like, I'm still on the field.
Then it's the dead sprint.
Oh, it was. Building. And I ran over to you have to go through the left field wall and then you go into the Western Metal Building, go up the elevator, and I ran in there and the guy knew exactly what was going on. He was like, are you in for Sam tonight? And I'm like, yes, I am. And then I get upstairs.
The guy in the elevator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then I get upstairs and I'm setting up the equipment and someone stole your headset. And so I had to scramble.
Well,
I'm still mad about that.
It wasn't funny at the time.
No, I'm still honestly mad about that.
All the cost
it's not
the
okay.
Cost of doing business.
There's one thing that angers me more than a lot, and it's the like thievery. Like someone just showed up and took the headset off of, not even off the table, out of the bag that we have or the box that we have. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of thievery, I saw a highlight while we were in break of Fernando Tatis Jr. making a very nice play in right field tonight. He is playing for Estrellas once again.
Yes.
In the Dominican Winter League. He is playing right field tonight. You might remember he played center field in last night's game. I didn't see any of the defensive highlights from last night's game, but for Estrellas, Fernando in right batting third. Also, Eggy Rosario at third base batting ninth. And Eggy is certainly somebody that could be playing for a spot on the roster in spring training. Yesterday, I don't know if you guys talked about this or not, it was Fernando in center and then Jurickson Profar playing first base.
What?
Yes.
I mean, I guess that makes sense for that team, but okay, let's talk about, I know we got to get to the final two topics in the Big Five, and we will at some point, but it's the last hour of the year.
And Fernando hit a home run yesterday.
He did hit a home run yesterday, and he looked at it fly, and it looked very cool.
Stop and stare. It was great.
I was like, oh man, MVP season incoming. All right, Jurickson Profar. We've talked about this on the show a bunch. A lot of the listeners want to see Jurickson come back to the team. Some even think that Jurickson is someone who is the heart and soul of this team, because once he got back last year, they started playing better. But also, I gotta say, like, either we don't really know what happened before last year, because Jurickson ended up starting the year with the Rockies, and I think it was like an $8 million contract, and then he was let go from the Rockies and he got back to the Padres. But it seems like Jurickson Profar and the Padres have a fit. I just don't know how much he can play on an everyday basis at this point.
Well, it was this team starting left fielder in 2022.
He was, yeah.
They made the postseason and they went to the NLCS. And I would think, now I don't know what the deal would look like. I don't know if that would be more than a 1-year deal. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly the money would be. But from a baseball perspective and a personality perspective, I think Jurickson Profar would fit this club. He could play left field. We know he can play elsewhere as well. He'll give you some offense. He's very close with a lot of guys in that clubhouse. He's very well liked inside that clubhouse.
He plays hard.
Hey, there was a reason he signed late last year and wanted to come, and he was very happy about it and likes being here. So I don't think it's a crazy idea at all to wonder if Jurickson ends up back in San Diego, because right now, again, we don't know what this roster looks like a couple of months from now, but this moment, he could be somebody that plays a lot of left field for you. Could be, just like he did in 2022.
Here's what I'll say about Jurickson Profar, and I've already said this, so it's not like I'm hot taking right now, but I think putting aside what Jurickson Profar does, like in the fan department and also the teammates and how he is able to motivate them, he's a good player, but I don't know if he's an everyday player. I think if they start the year with Jurickson Profar as an everyday player, then they're in for a little bit of hurt in the outfield.
Well, let me look at his numbers in 2022 to remind myself. So he played 152 games. That's
a lot. Yeah, he's durable.
He was an everyday player for this team in 22. We all know that. He played left field almost every day.
Yeah.
He hit 243, 15 home runs, 58 RBIs, 331 on base percentage, 723 OPS, 82 runs scored, 36 doubles. Look, he's not, there's a big drop off between Juan Soto and Jurickson Profar. I mean, this is not a secret.
Yes.
Are there better offensive options that you could get to play a corner outfield spot? Yeah. But depending again on how you allocate the money and what the rest of this roster looks like, it's an option. It is. You're probably going to get what you're going to get out of him offensively. And if he can replicate what he did at the plate in 2022 and play good defense, yeah, there's a world where it could be okay. I mean, hey, he was a starting left fielder on a team that made the postseason in 22. You could do that again. You could. I'm not saying it's like the most optimal option, but it's a possibility.
For anyone who's thinking, okay, well, yeah, he did it in 2022. I mean, a whole other season has gone by. Another offseason is going to go by. athletes, when they get older, sometimes things just go a little bit faster or slower.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Jurickson Profar
he's
is
30.
not good. He's only 30?
He's only 30. He's been around a long time.
Do you see how surprised I am
He
right now?
debuted at 19 with the Rangers.
Wow. I knew that he was a.
You got to remember, Jurickson Profar was the prospect in baseball.
Yes, he was.
Prospect.
Yes, he was.
In fact, he may have been the number 1 ranked prospect in the game. I mean, he was big time prospect.
He'll be 31 when the season starts
with the Rangers. Yeah.
Well, that changes my whole age argument, because 30 is pretty young. I mean, he's old, but he's played 10 years in the big leagues.
Yeah,
He's
and look,
still
he could also, again, depending on what your roster looks like, he could also be more of a bench piece, which I think would fit as well, because he could play some different spots, could pinch hit, start a couple of times per week. I think, without being able to say it definitively, because I haven't spoken to anybody that would say it definitively, I think that would be a potential fit for Jurickson and the team. I do.
All right. Frank, you got anything to add to this?
Saying the only games that he missed in 2020, that was after the collision with was it Kim or Machado?
2022?
Yeah.
He collided.
CJ Abrams, maybe.
CJ.
I'll look.
Yeah, because I remember that collision was that was a bad one.
CJ.
It was
oh, you know what? I think it might have been Abrams.
I'm looking. Hold on. I just found the article. I just got to go find the name and everything. You guys can keep talking.
But you're right. You're right. I mean, but look, even if he hadn't had the collision, I mean, 152 games is a lot of games.
It is a lot of games. I mean,
so
it doesn't. It also, replacing Juan Soto is hard. Outside of what he does at the plate, because he played every single game last year.
And I will say this.
And it was CJ Abrams. He caught the ball, and then Jurickson took a knee to the face.
And kind of interesting that the other night, and look, I don't want to read too much into it, but that he was playing first base. Kind of interesting, right? Because he's played there a little bit. He played there a little bit last year for them down the stretch after Cronenworth got hurt. Just interesting.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he's played basically every position.
Yeah, he plays all over the place. Look, that's why, even let's say you go get a left fielder and a center fielder, or it's a mix of a free agency and one of these prospects playing. I think he's a great clubhouse guy, and at the very least could be a bench guy. And plays all over the place.
Yeah, I just got a DM from Mario at Matt Skraby on X saying one name that we haven't talked about today, but we have talked about in the show in the past, Harrison Bader. He is out there, and he's a great center fielder. I mean, he might not be. He's better. He's a better hitter than what Trent Grisham was giving. Maybe he's not the Gold Glover that Trent Grisham was or is, but he definitely will give the lineup a little bit more than what Trent Grisham gave them.
He's a decent offensive player. He's a good defender. Look, at right now, I think Harrison Bader would be a fit in center field. Again, what kind of deal is a guy like that going to get? Is that going to be a multi-year deal? I don't know. But the reality right now is that unless you're sticking Fernando Tatis Jr. in center, or it's Jacob Marcy, you need a center fielder.
You do need a center fielder.
And I would say that would be a fit.
And
so, yes, agreed. Name to keep an eye on.
And you do need a left fielder, and that could be Jurickson Profar. All right. If you want to go see some plays from the Astros game, Sam Levitt is posting them on Twitter at Sammy Lev or X. I just reposted it myself.
Right.
What is this highlight? You Platinum Glover making plays.
Catch in right field by Fernando.
Let's watch this. Okay, off the bat, opposite field, and Fernando doing right field things once again.
Great play-by-play, Skraby.
Thank you. All right, when we get back, we're going to finish up the Big Five. Frank
I can't believe we just did the whole segment. We didn't even get to the.
I'm telling you, we just go with the flow, Sam, here on the final show of the year. Okay. We're breaking all the rules. We'll get back. Big Five next. 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicki Pepper.
This report brought to you by San Diego Imperial Valley high-intensity drug trafficking area. In Palo Mesa, 15 north past the 76, a crash involving a semi blocking the two middle lanes are stopped from Lilac. 805 south at Kearney Mesa, a grass fire on the shoulder causing freeway traffic to come to a stop. And 67 south at Rancho Del Oro, a collision on the shoulder causing delays there. Drugs today are different. Fentanyl is often mixed into pills disguised to look like prescription medications. It's important
From the YouTube chat today, 97.3 The Fan, Sammy and Skraby with Frank on the ones and twos, Gwen and Chris back in 2024, January 2nd. But the chat is going off today. I don't know. There's lots of debates happening.
End the year bringing the fire.
Oh, yeah. End of the year, bringing the fire. And there's some arguments. Frank is taking a beating in the chat for some reason. But yeah, so if you want to join the chat or see us broadcast and see what we do, go to YouTube 97.3 The Fan.
You can see my enormous water bottle.
It is enormous. Now I'm doing the SD fat loss diet right now. I'm down 16 pounds.
I know.
And
Very
I have
impressive.
to drink half my body weight in ounces of
so
water.
How many ounces is that?
My thing that I'm going to put into the camera right now is 64 ounces.
So mine is 112.
Oh, I need yours because I need to
Mine
drink.
is 112. So right now, and it has little time stamps. So right now, I'm right where I should be at. I'm like just above 5 p.m.
But doesn't your water get like gross if it's
No.
in there by like 11 p.m. or something?
It's warm.
Gross.
Well, I clean it and I use the filter and
Eco water?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. We said we weren't going to waste any time, and then I took us off on a tangent. So, Frank, let's get back into the Big Five.
Sure, let's.
Number 2.
All right, so number 2. Bowl drama has begun as the Big Ten's all-time pass leader has elected to sit. Maryland quarterback Taula Tagovailoa, the younger brother of Tua, has opted out of the Music City Bowl in Nashville on December 30th against Auburn to prepare for the NFL draft. Tagovailoa is expected to go in the middle rounds of this year's draft, with most anticipating him to go on day 3. Big players with draft hopes sitting out of their team's bowl games is unfortunately nothing new, but Tagovailoa is the first that I have personally seen announce that he is sitting this year. Sam, how many more of these players do you think could sit?
Well, I think more will.
Jaden Daniels of LSU is sitting as well.
Isn't Caleb Williams not playing?
He's
in the
not playing
bowl
in
here.
Holiday
So,
Bowl, yeah.
Like I said, first that I saw.
yeah,
Good qualifier. I do
Look,
that all the time, too.
I get it. I'm sorry, I do. I get it, especially if you're ticketed for the NFL.
If you're Caleb Williams or,
I
or
do.
Jaden Daniels.
Now, what I do think, one of the things I thought of when I read this question, in the NIL era, could we see a scenario where someone, I don't know if a bowl could do it, or somebody associated or a sponsor for the bowl could do it, could pay somebody like, let's say, Caleb Williams
I've thought about
to
this, too.
play in said bowl, that there could be money set aside for that situation?
I've thought about this, too, and I think that's probably what's going to have
that
to
would
happen.
be an incentive if you needed it.
And I guess, again, how much money would make it worth it for him? Because Caleb Williams is looking at a big old payday. Like, after his 5-year rookie contract, he's looking at, say he plays well, he's looking at $250 million plus.
You know what's interesting? Let's say USC would have made the college football playoff.
The CFP?
It doesn't change a whole lot for Caleb Williams in the sense of, you play in intense games like that, you could get injured. I mean, his NFL future is going to be the same, whether he wins or loses, and you still run that same risk. But I understand it.
I do too. I'm not a fan of it, though.
Yeah.
If I'm on a team, you know what? I'll say this.
What'd you say about money earlier? One of you said something about money.
I said something about money.
Yeah,
like,
you
how much
said
are they going to have to pay him?
When money gets a line about.
With the PGA Tour, when money becomes bigger than the actual sport that's being played, which is what college sports is going towards. It seems like everything is going towards it these days. But I'm not a fan of this, just because if I'm a teammate, I'm like, really? You're just going to bail out of our game because you have a better NFL career? I guess I could understand.
Skraby, I think a lot of guys. I'm not in that locker room. I think a lot of guys.
No, you're probably
understand it.
right. You're probably right. And my answer to this question is whatever Sam said.
Fair enough.
Number 1.
All right, the last one. This one has to do with money, too. Staying with bowl games.
Money.
Staying with bowl
Just
games.
got paid. Friday night. That's an NSYNC song, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know it was insane. My
Taylor
sister
Swift.
was all
What was a
about
better
the NSYNC.
what was a better moment today? The Taylor Swift sing along or the softball story?
Taylor Swift sing along.
Because you ruined the softball story by
Yeah.
saying the home run you hit wasn't really a home run.
Yeah, you said you hit a home run, and then it was actually it was a double with 2 errors.
All right, Frank. Yes.
Staying with bowl games, I would expect Florida State to lose the Orange Bowl to Georgia this year. No, not just because they're playing Georgia, but because reports have come out that head coach Mike Norvell, as well as many players, are still trying to come to grips with the fact that they are not in the playoffs. Norvell said in a recent press conference, "It's the most challenging couple of weeks of coaching I have ever had." The Noles went 13-0 this season and had an unconvincing 16-6 win in the ACC championship game against Louisville, who we'll see next week at this point, right?
Yep, Holiday Bowl.
With their most impressive win of the season being their first game against number 5 LSU, beating them 45-24. Skraby, when was the last time the NCAA, or the BCS for that matter, going back, went with who deserved it over who drew them more money?
I think you probably have to go back to 1922, maybe. I don't know. It's always been this way. The BCS was like a computer program that spit out scores, and that's how they did it. I can understand why Florida State and the players and the coach are all having trouble with this, but I mean, at a certain point, you just got to move on. It's just football. And you weren't going to win your playoff game
just
anyway.
Football?
It's just football.
Of all people, you're telling me it's just football?
I said I understand why they are upset, because they got robbed. They went undefeated, and I'm not mad at the committee for making this decision, because do we really want to watch a 42-0 drubbing of Florida State?
And that's
and I know
where
that you
TCU
can't say
comes
it's like saying an NFL team. Never mind. Go ahead, Sam. I don't know where I was going.
Look, it stinks for Florida State. Okay, it does. It stinks. I feel bad for the players. I feel bad for the coach. They did nothing wrong. They went 13-0. They overcame odds with a major injury.
Yeah.
I also understand what the committee did and why they did it and the argument for it. But to me, the great thing about sports is that you play games sometimes where you have a big-time underdog.
Yeah.
And sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah,
and
right.
I do
Look at
feel,
the Diamondbacks.
and you did rob Florida State completely of that opportunity when by the games they deserve to be in.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I feel for them. If it were me, I would have put Florida State in, regardless of what I thought that semifinal was going to look like, because it's not up to you to decide what it's going to look like. Give them a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, who's to say they wouldn't go and win that semifinal? You don't know that for sure.
Well, at least they're expanding next year, so this shouldn't be an issue. But then we'll be arguing over who's the
there's gonna be
90
right,
team that was
right.
left out.
There are 68 teams that play in the college basketball tournament. 69, 70, and 71 always complain that they were snubbed. It's always going to happen. Making the playoff bigger doesn't change that.
And quickly to that point, not that it's the same sport or tournament at all, but one of the beauties about the NCAA tournament is that the underdogs get a shot to beat the big boys.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, quite often actually, they do.
There was the Giants and their Super Bowl wins, their 2 Super Bowl wins. If you weren't going to play the game, the Patriots going into the game, the Patriots had already won those games.
Both from the wild card.
Both from the wild card.
Eli Manning, future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And again, this is not unprecedented what Florida State's going through. We went through it with UCF, went through it with Boise State a couple of years after the Statue of Liberty play in the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma City. They've done this before.
Eli Manning,
be a surprise.
Eli Manning, the second best Giants quarterback of this century.
Is it Tommy DeVito?
Behind Tommy DeVito.
Okay. Did you have to pay him $10,000 just to mention his name?
He had to pay me to say his name.
Oh, he would never do that. Sean Stellato.
Get his agent on the phone, Frank.
Sean Stellato wouldn't stand for it.
Still working on Manfred. Hold on.
I know. What the heck? I thought we were going to talk to Manfred earlier.
All right, you said we had to be out.
Yeah, Sammy and Skraby, 97.3 The Fan. Chris, Tony, and myself, before the week ended last week, we sat down. We did a countdown of our 2024 New Year's resolutions.
All right.
My number 5 stunned the guys. Stunned.
All right, let's
so
hear
we'll
it.
hear it when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
I don't think my Google Translate is working here, so I'm just going to have to go for you in Spanish.
Impala Mesa, 15 north past the 76.
In my prods, and I need to be better because it's awkward.
How do we
So-
get everybody else to realize that you're doing that so they don't ask Chris and I to be nicer to you?
Oh, it's not all the time. You guys definitely need to be. I'm hoping on this one of your resolutions is to be nicer to me. So that's why I went with be nicer to
Yeah,
Chris.
good luck
Okay.
trying to talk us into that.
Number 4.
Is this on me again?
Yes, this is you,
No.
Mr. Resolution.
I too I'd say for a chunk of the year, I'd say about 10 months out of the year, really was disciplined with my workouts and my food intake and what I was eating. And I, I enjoyed walking by the mirror and seeing myself. I don't always feel
That
like
is
that.
a good
right?
feeling. That is.
I want to do it in year 2. I want to complete the full 12 months.
All 12.
As Chris said, in the month of December, even in, let's say, the late month of November, it has been difficult.
Well,
Well,
this is the time.
And you know, in some ways, though, you know, your body does need some rest. It does need to be able to kind of, you know, recalculate and get itself back and recenter itself, I should say. But it's something I intend on doing once again in 2024.
I like that one.
All right. One thing I'd like to do is be a little meaner to Skraby in 2024.
I don't think that's possible.
I do think it is. And I think I'm getting it's kind of the opposite of what you said. And I appreciate you wanting to be nicer to me, but I'm not going to fall for it. And no, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, is this really on his list? He was going with it.
Of course not. I would like us all to sound like we get along the way that we actually get along. I mean, I don't know that people realize that we all are pretty good friends. I think a lot of people honestly come up to me and think that, you know, we don't like Skraby. Skraby doesn't like us. It's a relationship that is, you know, has a lot of friction, and it truly doesn't. It has it on the radio sometimes. Yeah. We get into our thoughts and our ideas, and we want to win the verbal war. But you know, hopefully we can be, you know, look, sometimes it's good radio to disagree, but I don't want to do that just to make good radio.
Yeah,
I want us to get along and have people realize that we all actually do pretty much get along.
You know what a huge compliment is when we have people in to watch a show here and there, they always leave with the thing of, wow, you guys are exactly like you sound like off the air that you are on the air, because Chris and I are like fighting in the break and they get to see like a real fight or something like that.
No, we've never thrown punches. Oh, what do you mean a real fight?
Verbal fighting.
Yeah.
Verbal fighting. Although. Okay, so my number 4.
Well, it's a good thing we don't sit right next to each other. Within our, if we sat within arm's reach, a punch may have been thrown by now.
I can also move up a screen so it just blocks Chris's head.
Skraby's a big teddy bear, and so are you. You guys ain't for throwing.
All right, let me go back to what I said originally. I'm going to be meaner to Skraby in 2024.
I am a teddy bear, Tony. What the heck? Did you guys see? I didn't even touch it.
I didn't see anything.
That was pretty impressive.
That's just perfect timing for that music.
What do you want to go to the circus more in 2024?
I don't know. That was
Spend more time dressed up like a clown? What do you want to do here?
My number 4 is stop being so judgmental.
That's a good one.
Because I tend to judge a book by its cover.
Yes, you do.
And the reason that I do is because I'm very what's the word?
Triggered?
No, but yes, what's the word when I'm not like outwardly outgoing? What am I thinking of, guys?
You're reserved?
Reserved? No, I don't know. I cannot believe I can't think of the word right now. This is insane.
I wish I could help you. I just can't think of it right now either.
What's the opposite?
You're introvert.
Yes. Thank you.
Gotcha.
I'm an introvert. So I tend to make up things about people before I ever meet them or speak to them. And so I prepare myself through things that I've heard from other people or whatever. So I prepare myself for war, and then I meet them. I'm like, oh, you're a pretty nice person.
Huh.
And then I go through my life.
That making up something about somebody you've never met. What does that sound like? X? Yeah, it sounds about right.
Oh, like the app? Yes, absolutely. That is what X is all about. So stop being so judgmental is my number 4.
Very good.
All right.
Number 3.
Mr.
In 2024, I would like to be slow to speak and quick to listen. And listen longer. I think sometimes, I think all of us have a tendency to, use our mouth more than we should. And I think I fall into that category. I think sometimes it's just better to sit back and listen and not always, have an opinion or have something to say. So I want to do more listening in 2024. And obviously I'm a broadcaster and I'm on a radio show. So I can't do more listening, less talking, but you get the gist what I'm trying to say.
We're in like everyday life.
In everyday life.
Chris?
Number 3 for me is I just want to embrace what I already have. I don't do a good enough. Nobody does a good enough job of enjoying what we have. Whatever it is, friends, family, jobs. It always seems like we want more and we're not happy till we get more than what we have. So
and then when you get there, you're not happy and then you want more.
Well, yeah, you always want the next thing.
I mean, that is the trick, right? Is that
right?
As humans, we're always going to keep wanting more. And so
I know. So I think I'm pretty lucky overall. Despite having to put up with Skraby every day, I think I'm pretty lucky overall, and I want to embrace what I have. That's my number 3.
That's very nice. My number 3 is a social media one, but it's to be better with social media in this regard, with not allowing people to get under my skin. And I want to interact better with people, because sometimes I let social media get me down and I don't check it for a couple days or 3 days or 4 days. And then I have people that reach out and they want to talk and I'm not there. So I should probably check more and interact with more people, but I should be better with that.
All right. Very good.
Number 2.
Number 2. I want to continue to improve, get better at my job in terms of being on the radio and broadcasting. Now this year I'll have a few more TV opportunities, so I want to continue to get better. I want to continue to add different tools to my toolbox, maybe being able to do some play-by-play at some point.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Like just to be able to do it. It gives you one more thing that you can do. So I want to continue to improve in those areas as well for 2024.
All right, Chris, your number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is has a sports component to it, and because this is something that I'm really not very good at, and it has to do with sports, and it has to do with rooting for my favorite teams, and also rooting for my fantasy teams. And when they don't do well, I go into the tank. And I don't think I'm the only one out there who does this. I if I lose a heartbreaking fantasy game, I am really difficult to be around that Sunday night. The Dolphins lost last week to the Titans on Monday Night Football. I don't know that I really truly got over it till about Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. And that's just got to be better. Those are things I can't control. So it goes into the category of not fretting the stuff you can't control. You certainly cannot control what happens with your favorite sports team, but admit it, most of us feel a whole lot better when our teams win and a whole lot worse when our teams lose. I want to do better and not feeling so bad when my teams lose, because I have a feeling they probably will from time to time.
You know what, Chris? That is a great one, because I used to feel that way. I've said before on the radio that I broke up with a girl because Jamal Charles scored 5 touchdowns on me against the playoff game, and I was playing her, and it was really infuriating. But you can't control the Dolphins. So.
No, I can't. But when they lose a heartbreaking game, I mean, that's how much I care about my teams, and I just have to do better, because my wife knows I'm going to be a bear to be around, and with the fantasy football season I had, it's surprising that I even made it through it, because I spend a lot of lousy Sundays, and I don't want to have lousy Sundays. I want to enjoy my Sundays.
Yeah, that is tough.
All right.
My number 2 is you guys already said it, do better with my diet and exercise. Now that I'm doing this thing with SC fat loss and losing weight, 15 pounds down at the moment. I am not getting younger. My doctor told me that I need to start really paying attention to myself, to what I eat and what I'm doing. So I need to be better with my diet and exercise.
Number 1.
Yeah, number 1. I'm stealing this straight from Chris. It replaced the number 1 I had, but to me, it's something I've thought about here a lot lately. But Chris has used it in his top 5, and that is being thankful for the things that we already have. And for me, that's a lot. I have a beautiful family of 6. I get to.
You do have a beautiful family, by the way.
Thank
you. We got to meet them all a couple of months ago. They were impressive.
Thank you.
Impressive.
I don't know what you told Trey about me, but he didn't want to say hi.
Well, he's a little shy guy.
Trey's hilarious. I'll tell you, these are the nicest kids you ever want to meet.
It was very nice actually watching them from our table when you were doing your speech, because it was just
I was sobbing through my speech.
Well,
yes, of course they love seeing their dad up there.
One of them laughed. I can't remember which one. One of them was like kind of laughing. Another one was like with you on it, and I think Trey wasn't really even.
He probably wasn't. But I not only do I have my family, my kids, my wife. I get to talk about baseball like daily, something that I love dearly. And then when I'm not doing that, I get to come on and talk about sports, which is the other thing that I love dearly. So I got it good. And it's a reminder that we should all kind of, take a step back sometimes in our hustle and bustle and be thankful for the things that we're blessed to have already. And I'm extremely blessed.
Chris, you're number one.
Just be a better husband. It's similar to number 3 in appreciating what I have, but I have a pretty sensational wife. I think I'm a pretty good husband already. I hope I am. I must be. We've lasted 34 years somehow.
Yeah, you don't.
So I must be doing something right in that regard, but I could be better. And that I think it comes down to being better in the time when I'm on my own and by myself. Just making better decisions that will impact us when we're together. I don't know how to explain that very well, but
I don't think you need to, but
I got you.
Just being a better husband. I got a great wife and I'm lucky. So let's do better.
Let's ride.
That's right.
My number one is.
See, and that's the thing. The irony of that is Lori probably appreciates that.
That is ironic.
As a Denver Bronco fan,
I didn't mean for it to be like that, but yeah, you're right. My number one was something else, but you guys are right. I need to every day appreciate what I have and what's what I'm afforded in this life. I mean, there's lots of stuff going on around the world, and I am in a great place, and I can't complain. Got nieces. My dog Lucky.
You do complain a lot, though, for somebody that can't complain.
Complain about like real stuff,
I see.
Like St. Petersburg is not a real conversation or complaint.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But yeah, so I just want to be able to appreciate things every single day. I really firmly believe that's important in my life.
And now that there's not a dry eye in the house out there listening to the program, go ahead, you and Sammy get back to some of the craziness of this day.
This is it, guys. Final time we are on the air together in 2023. Well, I hope you enjoyed our New Year's resolutions. I hope I'm going to make it through at least 2 of them. All right, we got to get out of here quick, but we got to tell you about this story of Tommy DeVito. Sam found this, but apparently after this whole pizzeria thing, he has not completely fired Sean Stellato, but he has hired a new marketing agent.
Yes.
And so they're going to bring someone else in to help him with his appearances and sponsorships.
Makes sense.
Stellato's just going to negotiate the football contract.
The original tweet made it sound like he was done with Stellato.
I'll read you. It says, Tommy DeVito mends fences with pizzeria owner. DeVito also has hired a new agent, freezing out Sean Stellato.
That made it sound like
that's a misleading title. That's a misleading title. All right, that's it for us today. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thanks, Sam, for being here. Thanks, Frank, for being here as well. Thanks to everyone for a great 2023. Gwen and Chris and myself will be back on January 2nd. And let me tell you, we got some big stuff on the show.
Going to be an outstanding 2024. Outstanding. Happy holidays.
I cannot wait to share what it is.
Happy New Year. Let's make it a good one.
Yes.
Come on.
Be safe, everyone. Have a good 2023.
See ya.
Peace.